Hey everyone, welcome to Just Hangouts, the official podcast of Just Nerds, where you can just hang with us and listen to us talk about movies, TV shows, comics, and games. Today, I am Jonathan, and I am hosting today's episode, and with me as always is my co-host, Blake.
Hello everybody, how we doing today? It's good to be back on the podcast for, I believe, episode 5.
Yeah, how you doing, Blake?
I am doing really well. I had a wedding this weekend, so I was a little busy doing, wedding stuff. I was in the wedding. I wasn't just, going to see it. So,
Oh shoot,
yeah. So,
sounds
but
exciting.
it was fun. It was definitely fun before and after. We had some pretty crazy stuff going on. Had a the most casual Smash Bros tournament ever held in my life.
Nice.
Where I had like two people who have played it, like we all, because like it was a close family friend that got married, and so me and his like brother and his sister, his younger sister, or basically like my brother and my younger sister, and a couple of his close friends were all playing Smash Brothers, and me and one of the other guys are the only two who know how to play the game, like on a solid level. So like we were like, hey, let's hold a Smash tournament and see who's the freaking worst. So, I opened up tourney mode, and oh my gosh, I have never been on the edge of my seat with anticipation because nobody knows how to kill. Cause like, so one of my favorite moments is one of the guys' name, his name was Sam. He played Donkey Kong because we all did random characters, which was hilarious. And he did side B, right, to ground he ground another friend of ours, Josh.
Right.
He grounded him, but he had Donkey Punch charged up, right? He had Giant Punch charged up. He didn't know how to use it though, so he just side B'd again over and over, and he couldn't kill him. And I was like, bro, just hit the B button, you can kill him. And then he did it, and everybody was like losing his mind. Like everyone was losing their mind. I don't know what it is about like watching somebody who's never played the video game before, like try to play the video game.
It's the accomplishment when they actually do something cool.
Oh yeah, no, it's like double the hype.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So it's so funny. Like everybody was flipping out and screaming, and I'm like, that's like so. If only you knew how basic that was. But it was so funny. Played a little bit of Mario Kart, Mario Kart 8. I play that game so much that I can't. I don't think my friends could ever beat me, and they always get mad at me.
All right.
But yeah, so I mean that's what we mostly did for majority of the weekend, was just play a lot of Smash Brothers.
Nice.
Sorry, that was a little random in terms of I just completely transitioned into what I've been playing this weekend. I am
That's
so
not
sorry.
random at all, Blake. It's what happened in your life. We are all curious.
I am so like okay, but anyway, so
But like what you were saying about like with this might, I don't want it to sound mean, right? But like when it's like people that you're like worse than, like you're at your level, and it's clearly people who are like at a very very casual level, like what do you do in that situation? Do you like, I assume you don't like go out your best and go like, yo, I'm gonna show these kids what's up. So, but like, what's your mentality when you play people like that?
when I play people that are way better than me,
No, way worse.
oh, way worse than me, I just take it easy. Like I do stuff that's like I don't play my main. Like I don't know what it is, but like every time I play Kirby offline, specifically offline, I don't know what this is, but like I just go nuts. Like I'm just doing forward air strings, grounded strings, like I'm just like flowing. I don't know what it is. So I don't play like my main. I'll generally play a character that like I'm like decent enough with to where I can play them, or if they're really bad, then I play like my worst character. And then I'm just kind of doing basic like throws. I don't go for kills. I take it easy on them, but I still make it look like I'm trying.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So they don't feel like they don't want to stop playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Huh. See, I hadn't thought about the like pick your worst kind of character, because usually when it's like me, I'll pick like a character I'm like decent as, like I kind of know how to work the character, but like not fantastic. As you said, not your main.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I'll play like varying degrees of like I don't know how to say it, but I don't play at my best. I put it
Yeah.
down. I go, oh, like I don't know, like it's hard for me, I guess, to fake um being bad. Like I try it. Like that's what I do. It's not like I go ham, but like I don't know. I feel like I'm not always the best at hiding it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm like I do it maybe a little bit too much. Obviously, it depends
Mm-hmm.
on the person I'm playing against. But I always try to like play worse than usual. Sometimes I'll play like a character again. I'm like okay as, depending on who it is, I'll play like maybe not like Palutena like with Smash, or I'll play like I don't know, like Pikachu.
Mm-hmm.
However, uh, but yeah, varying degrees. But it reminded me. Sorry for a little rambling, but for this party, it was like at the end of the year for college, right?
Mm-hmm.
And um, I was like kind of like training my roommate Kyle. He plays young Link, and I've been trying to get him to be better, and he definitely improved throughout the months. But
Mm-hmm.
a lot like it would be like, oh, sometimes I do go 100% because I want him to get better. I don't want to,
Yeah.
I do want him to improve. Sometimes I do go like, like 70 or like sometimes 50 or 60%. And I feel like he can tell usually when I do that. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know like what to do in a situation. But that's how I work with him.
Mm-hmm.
But no, go on.
No, no, go ahead. Go
No,
ahead
no,
and
I'm
finish.
sorry. So he has he had like a partner in like his group for class, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
think they ever fought. But what happened was like one of his group mates was like, yo, like I am so good at Smash, like I am like, yo, I bet I could beat you. Or they might have played a game, I can't remember, but at some point it came like to me, where I guess Kyle mentioned me, and that I like he plays with me and I'm really good. And he goes, yo, I bet I could beat your roommate. Like, what's he play, Palutena? Yo, I could totally beat Palutena. Like, let's go. Like, one day I gotta fight your roommate. And this happened for maybe a few months, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
yo, okay, like let's see what happens. And so he was invited to like he was invited to the party. At some like the switch was on, and people they would jump in from time to time in between drinks and play
Mm-hmm.
Smash. But then at some point I found like my roommate Kyle was like, yo, this is my group mate, he wants to fight you in Smash. And so we fought, right? And I'm like
Mm-hmm.
ready to go. I told my roommate Kyle, like, yo, like for respect for you and for our house, I will win. Like I'm not, I'm gonna go ham. I'm gonna go hard on this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And when I forget who he played, but he was so bad. And it was the case where I had to play the worst I've ever played. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like sometimes I don't go for kills or I don't go for certain things. But for this guy, I straight up like sometimes I had to stand still and do nothing because that's like how bad he was.
Oh my gosh.
Like there's like dumbing your play down to accommodate people, but they're straight up like I can't like really play, kind of,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was like, I was beating him, like again, like dumbing it down. I was beating him like handily, but it clicked on my head. Like I was like, I could just beat him like this, and like we'll play the one match, and that's it. But I thought, it's a party. I don't want to be that guy. And second, this guy's really bad, where I can't even like do
Mm-hmm.
that. And so sometimes, yeah, I just like completely whiff, like not even like close to whiffing. Like he's like 2 feet in front of me, and I do like a back air, like whoops, I whiffed, or like, oh
Mm-hmm.
man, I SD'd.
Yeah. No. Hey, I definitely feel that where it's like you don't want to humiliate them
Yeah.
because like I think there's that fear of like I'm sure like really 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 good players, if they have any sense of morale or moral values, um I'm sure that they're like, well, I don't want to scare you from like continuing to play the game. Like, I don't want you to
Yeah.
be like, I hate Smash, I hate my life, things like that. So I mean, I've definitely been where you are, where it's all like, I'll be like, I Kirby downbeat off
Mm-hmm.
stage. Oh no, like I
Like, oh,
shouldn't have
I
done
whiffed
that.
my
Yeah,
teleport. My bad.
yeah, my
But
bad.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
so
was funny though because I didn't find out until after the party, like the next morning. But so Kyle was like doing something else in the other room, and so he beats me, or like I let him beat me, and then he, goes like, "Yeah, good game," and like, "Yeah, good game," and so he leaves, and then he goes straight to Kyle, and he goes like, "Yo, I just beat your roommate, man. I just beat him at Smash. Like, yo, I beat his ass." And Kyle, he said like in his like drunk state, he was like in his mind, he's like, "What? Like, no, like what? What happened?" And I had to explain, like, I was like, dude, like, he was pretty bad, and I explained the whole, like, yeah, like, it was a party, I didn't want to be that guy, and he was like, okay, yeah, okay, I understand. But it was super funny, just, like, him getting up and going, like, yo, I beat your roommate, dog, like, yo, it was a good match. And I was like, yep, yep.
my general rule of thumb is if they trash talk, they have to lose. They're walking home losing.
No,
Like
he
unless they're
didn't trash talk, like, at the end, during the
okay.
match. It was just at the end, like, yo, like, hey, I beat your roommate, man. It's like, and I was like, I'll give this. He wasn't trash talking. He was just like, he was happy. Like, he's like, yo, I beat your roommate, man. Like, it was great. And
Mm-hmm.
all that. So it was cool. But yeah, like, usually I thought about a great, like, comparison. At the end of Incredibles 1, when Dash is at the race, at the very end of the
Yeah,
movie,
yeah,
and he goes, like, fast, and then he slows, and then he does, like, fast, he
yeah.
does, that's usually what I do in my matches. I'll go, like, kind of hard for just, like, a little bit, and then I'll, like, ease off and, like, go lower than I usually do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll, like, let the people win or just barely win. But this time it was like, no, I was like, again, sometimes I wasn't even moving. Like,
Mm. No, that's that. I do that too, where it's like I pretend like I fell asleep at the wheel and stuff like
mm-hmm,
that. Yeah. No, I do that all the time. I do that when I fight my friends, but it's like I usually do it with matches, where it's like I'll let them win the first one because
mm,
I want them to keep playing, because like I want to, I love this game so much that it's like I'll be like, okay, well, this person says like, oh, like all my friends are pretty honest, so they're like, yeah, I'm terrible at this game. I'm like, no, you're not bad. And then I'll be like, okay, well, I'm gonna pick one of my favorite characters, Marth. And John, if you know me, I'm trash with Marth or Lucy. Like any Fire Emblem character that's not Chrom. Yeah. So I mean, so I'm like, I'll pick my favorite character. I don't know, Pit or something like that. And I barely play those characters. So it's like I'll play them and I'll be like, "Oh, you beat me!" Like, "Dang, you're really good at this game." And then I'll pick like somebody I'm kind of good with, and then um I'll let the match get close, and then usually I'll win, so that they kind of like are like, "Oh, it was all in good fun though." You know what I mean? So
mm-hmm,
they get a taste of like winning, which is fun, and then losing, which is like, "Oh, but it wasn't really a big deal. Like it was luck." You know what I mean?
yeah,
Things like that. So, and usually like, but like what's kind of sucks is like my friends don't like to play with items, whereas like I do when it comes to casual stuff, because I think that um like items just make things balanced between players. Like I don't think, like I think even if you put like Zero, MK Leo, I don't know, Mewtwo King, and some of the other gods of Smash, and 8 players with Final Smash meter on, with all the items on, like who the heck's gonna come out on top? I have no clue, because items are on, you know what I mean? And Final Smash meters on, and all this crazy stage hazards are on, you know what I mean? They kind of even the playing field, and they make the game, when they turn the game essentially into a party game, like Mario Kart or Mario Party, so that's why I generally like to try to, keep items on for those kinds of matches. But most of my friends don't like to play with items because they think them distracting. So I'm like,
hmm.
okay, oh man, I have to hold back.
Yeah, I know, yeah,
So that's what I do. Is I usually am like, okay, well, how about I just let them win the first match? I'll let them lose the second match. So it's like 2 out of 3. If they're doing really good and they're like actually like tense and stuff like that, I'll be like, okay, well then I'll lose and be all like, oh shoot, that was so close. You know what I mean? So that they want to keep playing. Because like my goal is I want to keep playing so that I can like get more practice in with certain characters. You know what I mean? So that I can understand more. And and it's funny because I've learned a lot from um, from like these super casual matches where it's like, because like one of the like I remember specifically learning like that certain smash attacks and like certain things can kill at certain percents. Like I'm like I had no idea that that could kill at that percent. And like Jigglypuff and I think Bayonetta, like I had no idea that up air could actually kill Jigglypuff because Bayonetta's up air is not a kill option in this game. But on Puff, if Puff's at higher percent, yeah, Bayonetta can kill her. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And it's relatively early, I think. But I mean, I learned that, and so it's like I learn a lot from these little casual matches. Like I like to play on my favorite stages, and I like to listen to music and just like practice with characters that I like never play. Like I'll play my like most random characters. Like I don't know. Hold on, let me. Like my least played characters are probably around the range of like I'll play Cloud a lot with casuals because Cloud's like a good character. I'll play Snake because he's fun. I'll play I don't know. I'll play Shulk, Bowser, Marth. Even in the really really low tier, like the low categories of characters that I play, like I'll play Inkling or Bayonetta or Link and stuff like that, just to kind of get a practice in with those characters and just feel what they're like. You know what I mean? So that's generally what I use that time for, like when it comes to like super duper casual play. But excuse me. But I usually like try to let them win and then lose, and then if the match is really tight, then let them win and stuff like that. So
Nice. No, yeah.
yeah.
No,
So
yeah. Thank you. But yeah. So to move on from this, Blake, have you been watching or playing anything else?
well, like I've been at a wedding, so I haven't had a whole lot of time, but I did manage to squeeze in some Spider-Man. I am now 70 to 80% done with everything. I think the entire game. So I'm at the point where I've just learned that it's actually Dr. Octopus who's orchestrating everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I when I saw that, I was like, oh, it was Dr. Octopus the whole time? Like, because, like, that trailer, that, I think it was the third trailer, where they showed off, like, the sequence where Spider-Man goes into the raft and, is, like, chasing Electro, and then at the end he gets beaten by all the bad guys, and then a big light shines, and it's like, Spider-Man's like, oh, it's you, it was you all along, and I was like, oh, shoot. Is that Green Goblin? Is that Hobgoblin? Who is that? Like, who is that? And then, so, I don't know, I guess I was just kind of, like, my expectations were, kind of, like, I was like, well, so when I was playing through the game, I was like, it can't be Green Goblin because everybody's trying to kill Harry Osborn. Like, why would Green Goblin try to kill himself? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, so Green Goblin's not, built up in that game.
Yeah, he's not in this game at all. Yeah, so it's like, I was like, and I honestly kind of thought that there was going to be a hint of him. Like, there's a part where Norman gets really mad and he breaks a glass in his hand, and I thought that, like, when his blood was dripping, I thought, like, it was going to be green, and I was like, oh, shoot, that would have been cool. But they didn't do that, obviously. But I don't know. Like, I saw Doc Ock and I was like, oh, I mean, you were my friend. Like, I don't know. I never really thought that it was going to be him doing everything. So I guess I'm not disappointed. I'm just like, oh, well, I mean, that makes sense. But, oh, I don't know. You know what I mean?
I guess, yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to explain because I'm not upset about it. I'm not disappointed, and it doesn't affect like how I feel about the game. The game's awesome, but like, it was just like, oh, I didn't really think about Doc Ock. I thought Doc Ock was going to be like a later thing, like,
I mean, you're like at the very end of the game, so like.
Yeah, no, I know I am. So.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was like, yeah, everybody was like, I think everybody assumed it would be Green Goblin, so there was kind of hype around that, like, oh shoot, I'm excited. But when the story builds up, like, okay, like, Doc Ock is a thing now, and, oh, someone has brought all these villains together, I was like, okay, like, it's clearly gonna be Doc Ock. So I do see, like, yeah, it would have been interesting to see, like, oh, like, more of a twist, I guess, but when the story built up to it, I thought, okay, like, it's gonna be Doc Ock, and it does make sense, with the story and everything, so I thought it was cool. But I do appreciate... Huh? Oh, no.
Oh, no, sorry.
I do appreciate, like, another thing about this game that doesn't, which, have been problems with other Spider-Man media, where they just throw in, like, Green Goblin and Venom right away. But this game was like, no, like Doc Ock is obviously one of the bigger Spider-Man characters, but they didn't go right away. Okay, let's throw in Green Goblin and Doc Ock into the same game. Let's hold them off until like Spider-Man 2 or 3. Let's see what characters we want to focus on there.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that too. They didn't just throw in every single villain for the sake of throwing in every single villain. You know what I mean? Because then you get like a... Because I feel like that can go either way. You can have an Arkham City or an Arkham Knight, where it's like Arkham City, everybody's here and everybody makes sense to why they're here and everybody's part of the story. Or Arkham Knight, where it's like half of these characters are the same side mission 5 times over. So it's like... but like, and I'll be straight up, that was part of why I was like, I didn't expect Dr. Octopus to be the one to like kind of not hijack, but like to be the guy behind everything. Because I honestly was like, oh yeah, they're setting Dr. Octopus up for like the sequel. Like I thought that's what they were doing. Like I thought they were doing like an Arkham City thing where it's like, oh shoot, the Joker's dead. Like the Joker's dead, but where's Harley? You know what I mean? Like things like that. Like there was like big twists and hints, and I was like, oh cool. So like Dr. Octopus can be the villain of the next game. I'm excited. But then he became the villain of this game. Like okay,
It's interesting. No,
that's
it's
what I
interesting
thought.
because
Like
no, I think the story like easily sets up that he's gonna be the main villain of the game. Not easily, but like it's clearly like Mr. Negative is the main villain, but Doc Ock is happening. So I was like, okay, so it's probably gonna be Mr. Negative is who we think the main villain is, but then we'll beat him, and then Doc Ock will show up and take over that role. Like that's at least what I thought when I played.
So that's not what I thought. I thought Mr. Negative was like initially, because of that final trailer, I was like, okay, so there's someone orchestrating this behind the scenes. It's not Mr. Negative. That's the big boss. You know what I mean? I don't know why. Like I just kind of thought that like post game, once you complete everything, there would be like some scene where like Dr. Octopus's lab is all messed up, like it's because he's insane now, like he's gone crazy, and Peter comes back and is like, whoa, holy crap, what's going on? And he can't get a hold of him, he can't find him, and it's like, oh shoot, next game, baby, let's go. Like that's what I thought, because that's generally speaking, like, and again, this is probably just because of my Arkham game experience, where it's like those games do that thing where it's like, what happened to this villain? We don't know. Find out next game, maybe. You know what I mean? And so that's what I thought it was going to be. But, like, I understood that at the end of the game, like, there was never a doubt in my mind where it's like, at the end of the game, Dr. Octopus wasn't going to be there. Like, I was like, no, he's going to be in this game. I was just like, I didn't think he was going to be the central antagonist. I thought that he was going to be the central antagonist for the next game. Because that's what I just thought that. I don't know why I thought that, but that's just what I thought, so.
Dang. Expectations, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, a lot of this game is, I feel like a lot of people can generally look at it and be like, oh, it's like those Batman games, but it's really not, like we discussed before, combat-wise and just other features, completely different characters, completely different setting, completely different movement styles, completely different, just everything, So, I mean, I just kind of thought that like they would take an Arkham approach, because that's the approach that people seem to really like about like Arkham City, is like all the little Easter eggs and hints that this character could be coming back, like this, like there's a ton of secrets in that game, and I kind of thought that this wasn't going to be like a secret. I thought this was just going to be like a just like a little, I don't know, like a little, what's the word, like just a setup,
Okay.
So.
Well, I'm not spoiling, but I will say the end of the game does, hint towards what will come next, and I can't remember, what sequences are in what order, like at the end game, but there's a sequence that does kind of, there are things in the game throughout that go, okay, like what's this character up to and all that, and then the end of the game goes, oh, well, this is what's going on, and you might see them in like the next one or Spider-Man 3. And then the DLC like also kind of sets up some of that stuff too.
All right, well that's cool. I mean, hey, I'm fine with that. But like one of my things is, did you beat this game 100% like after you beat the main campaign or before?
I mean, I did like most of the stuff before. I think it was just the leftover, like, oh, finish off this, what do you call it, territory and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like, obviously like the backpacks and all that kind of stuff. I did do before I beat the game.
Yeah, I did the backpacks and the sightseeing, and like that's why my percent's really
So,
high, is because I did a lot of
yeah, I
stuff
think it was
beforehand.
just like leftover stuff, like, oh,
Yeah.
like finish up like a few of these territories and all that. It wasn't like a lot of work after, because I'm sure like you, I was doing like a lot of side stuff, and then okay, do a story thing. Okay, let's focus on the side stuff because it's really fun. Okay, now let's go on the story thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I'm considering beating 100, like going off in for 100% before I face like the final last stretch of the game. Um, not for any particular reason. I don't know. Like there was a game that I did that with, and I got rewarded for it. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't Infamous Second Son. I know that for sure. Because I beat that game 100%, both campaigns, and I was all like, "Oh, cool! What do I get?" And I got
Nothing.
nothing.
You get
and I was
nothing.
like, I got fully upgraded powers, but it's like, okay, come on, that's a given. Like I was gonna get that regardless.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? So I was like, oh, okay, well, no special ending, no secret cutscenes
Nope.
featuring Cole, no nothing.
Nope.
Like I was like, okay, well, that was a waste. And then, but to be fair, a lot of games are like that now, where like you'll beat them 100% and you just kind of get nothing. Like Second Son was like that. Arkham Knight was, I don't know. I'd argue Arkham Knight gave you like the full ending, but Arkham Knight also really didn't answer any questions. Like Arkham Knight leaves on such a massively ambiguous note, where like I was satisfied and heavily disappointed. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
No, yeah, I
don't
get
know.
you.
Like, it's weird because it's like, I mean, I obviously am like, it's a cool ending seeing like the Nightmare Batman thing. Like, that's really cool. But like, what is it? Like, you know what I mean?
So
Like,
you didn't like the like open ended, like what is it?
no, I like that, but I just don't really understand what happened. Like, I would have liked just a teeny bit more clarity.
It was just that someone became Batman, right? Someone became the next Batman.
Who the heck became Bat? Well, that's
Yeah.
what I mean. Like, but who? It's not. I mean, that's the thing, though. It's like, I mean, we just kind of have to assume, and it's like that's nice, but I don't know. I wanted just a teeny bit more, you know.
Okay.
And because that's what I mean. Like when I compare Arkham Knight to Arkham City has an ending that's like that leaves itself open to like what was going to happen next. And I was like super hyped because it's like, but like there's all these like little hints, you know what I mean, as to what it might be. And Arkham Knight doesn't really have those, you know what I mean? Like Arkham City has like if you go into the Joker's steel mill, right? And if you go into the place where you get kicked out the window by Joker, there's like a little next to Harley Quinn's suit, there's a pregnancy test, right? And it's positive, and it's like, oh shoot, what the heck's gonna happen there? And then there's that super hidden Easter egg that if you go onto a boat and stand on top of a specific platform and open up the encryptor, and you type in a specific challenging code, you get to see where Scarecrow's been this whole time. There's that super secret thing where if you go at a very specific time in the game to the sewers and you hit a button, Killer Croc pops out and tells you that he's going to kill you, but he doesn't do anything, so he leaves. And it's like, I don't know. For me, like, that was like, oh shoot, what's going to happen in the next game? Like,
Couldn't you argue that's because it's a sequel, like it's saying what's gonna come in the sequel or hinting at it, but Arkham Knight is the end of a trilogy?
Yeah, no. Arkham Knight, but that's the thing though. Like, I wanted hints throughout the game that led me to kind of make those theories as to what it could be. You know what I mean? I don't need them to change the ending. I don't think the ending is bad. I think the sequence though. It's like, when was Batman ever touching the fear gas? You know what I mean? Like, I would have liked a little hint that like Batman, like, and I'm assuming that there's fear gas involved or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I would have liked maybe a moment where if you go into the Batcave and you go behind the computer, you see Batman's been experimenting with some fear stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, oh shoot, so Batman's planning for something. What is this? And then at the end, you're like, oh, okay. What is it? Who is it? I don't know, but that's cool. You know what I mean? So like I just want a little more like clarity. I don't need answers. Like I don't need, oh, it's Bruce Wayne, he's still alive. I need like I just wanted like a little more hint as to, oh, okay, so some breadcrumbs, you know what I mean? That's what I kind of want. Where it's like Arkham City. Also, Arkham City also has a lot of allusions to the fact that the Joker's going to die in this game. Like the very opening shot is literally a painting of Cain and Abel, but it also mirrors the way Batman carries Joker out of the theater at the very end of the game. And like when I learned that, I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's genius." The first shot of the game is the last shot of the game. That's freaking great. And it's like you don't even know that, but you're being subtly told that that's what's happening. You know what I mean? You kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, yeah. No,
yes.
I hear you.
It's like I wanted more breadcrumbs. Like I just wanted something to kind of... But like the Easter eggs in Arkham Knight are cool because they allude to a lot of other stuff. Like there's a weird, really creepy room where you can hear Solomon Grundy's theme song playing. And even though Solomon Grundy's not in the game, there's a lot of allusions to like Superman and the Flash and Lex Luthor. Like I love Lex Luthor's Easter egg. That was great. There's a lot of allusions to other Bat family people. Like there's a lot of great allusions to DC Universe stuff, but like I feel like this game lacks some of the some of the Easter eggs that tell you like what's happening underneath the story. And like I might be wrong. Maybe there is like an Arkham Asylum wall where you have to just randomly guess that there's something behind this random wall that looks no different than any other walls. Put 3 explosive gels. Yes, you have to put 3 explosive gels on this one wall, blow it up, and boom, there's the sequel of the game. And it's like, oh my god, like maybe there is. I don't know. It takes a long time for people to discover this stuff because like they're really, really, really good at hiding things. But
also, I think Rocksteady is the only one who's really done that, you know?
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
And that's my thing though. Is it bad that I had high expectations for like Arkham Knight to like have this big old Gotham City and to hide me some hype stuff other than like Riddler trophies and like little hints at the DC universe. Like I wanted more like what's going on here? Like the Jason Todd stuff came out of freaking nowhere, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll complain about that all the long day because like, you know, but like that's the thing is like you like if you played the previous 2 games, there is no mention of that character whatsoever. And it's like I get it, you know, you could make the argument that well, Batman didn't want to talk about it obviously. And it's like, well, that's fine. I don't need Batman to like look at the screen and tell me context, but it's like I would have liked some allusions that like Arkham Asylum or something was brewing under the surface, but I know that these games were not written with this in mind. They were written Arkham Asylum, and then, oh, we got a sequel. Okay, well, here's Arkham City, and then they're like, oh, well, we got another sequel. Here's Arkham Knight. That took how many freaking years to make before Arkham Origins even had came out between that, so... But I don't know. Like, that's all I'm asking, or kind of saying, is like, I wanted more breadcrumbs for that specifically. And that's not what... And to go back to Spider-Man, I'm not looking for that in Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man, I guarantee, is a lot less like, oh, if you go into this room at this building at this time, you'll see that, oh my god, it was Big Wheel that was planning everything from the whole time, you know? Like, no, I don't expect that. I don't expect that at all. I mostly am like, I just thought Dr. Octopus was going to be like, oh, here's some sequel bait. And I'm like, oh, cool. I like sequel bait. You know what I mean?
I'll
like,
let you know there is sequel bait. It's just not the sequel bait you were expecting.
Yeah, no, I was sure of that. Like, this game I don't think there was any doubt in anybody's mind that this game was going to do well, like, financially and critically.
Wait, that it wasn't going to do well?
Oh,
no, I see.
Yeah,
okay,
it was. It was
no,
guaranteed
I didn't
well.
hear that correctly.
Yeah. Like, for me, it was like, it's about as a sure thing as, like, Grand Theft Auto. Like, this game is going to do good. Maybe not as good as Grand Theft Auto, but, like, it was going to
then Sony was like, yo, Insomniac, want to play with us? And Insomniac was like, hell yeah, we do.
Yeah, hey, well, that's good. I mean, I don't think Insomniac's ever really made, like, a troubled game. I mean, the Ratchet and Clank franchise has been kind of bouncing between different styles of combat and whatnot. But, like, they've done so many different things with that franchise that, like, you know, I don't know what else they could possibly do. I mean, they've done so much with it that they literally remade it for the freaking movie that came out.
Yeah,
You know.
it's just like funny. Was funny when, it's like Sony kind of acquired Insomniac because everybody was like, "Oh, like seriously? Like, oh my god!" Like, and everybody was like, of course, Spider-Man too, but because Insomniac has been, like they've worked with other people, and
Yeah.
they've been, pretty proudly independent for so long, and the fact that they, joined Sony after obviously, Ratchet and Clank, and then Spider-Man, it's like okay, we can expect a lot more great titles from Insomniac with Sony.
Even prior, you got some Spyro the Dragon action. That was a PS1 classic,
Yeah.
and then obviously Ratchet and Clank, and then Resistance, which was also PS3 exclusive. Um,
It was
I mean, and they did make an Xbox game though.
no,
Like, they
no. I
made
was about to
Sunset
say it
O-
was
yeah,
so funny when
Sunset Overdrive. Yeah.
playing Spider-Man. My roommate Kyle, and how just him watching me before he started playing himself. He goes, "Yo, this game is like it's so good," and he goes like, "It's not fair. Why does PS4 have such a great game like this, and Xbox has nothing?" And I go, "Hey, I mean, yo, like the people who made this game, they made Sunset Overdrive, baby. Like that's your exclusive, right?"
Yeah, that's like one of the only exclusives.
Yeah, and the look he gave me was of utter hate. He's like, "Shut up, I'm not playing Sunset Overdrive."
Really? I hear that game's like there was a debate a while back where like people were like, "Yo, this game is so good, it's worth it to get an Xbox just for this game alone."
I heard like,
And I was-
well, at least for like me, I heard mixed things. Like some people said it was really good, but others were like, "This is like interesting, but I don't know if it totally comes together as much as they wanted it to." I don't know.
I mean, I never played it. That's just what I heard. That's just
Yeah,
word
yeah.
of mouth. So
No,
I mean,
it
it
looked
always
cool.
looked fun
No,
because
yeah,
I
it
love
looked cool.
Insomniac.
But
But,
that
I
was
mean,
just
so-
a funny comparison.
Yeah, isn't it funny though how people get excited or like people got excited that Insomniac got bought by Sony? Everyone's like, "Yeah," but when a studio gets bought by Microsoft, they're like, "Oh God, no,
Well, because
no!"
Rare.
Well, because they don't do anything.
They don't. Yeah, that's the problem.
They buy these companies. I mean, oh my God. I mean, if you want to talk about negative reception, EA's the worst. EA buys these studios.
Oh
They-
God,
they
don't
have
even,
them
don't
make, like-
even, yeah, don't even, Jesus.
Yeah, they make them buy make them make one.
Well, they buy
game
him and
they're
then
like,
go, "Hey, we're either." Well,
Join us,
it's
or-
usually, "Hey, we want to buy you. Cool. Okay, work on this game, but we don't do that kind of game. Okay, we'll do it anyways." And then it doesn't do well, and they go, "Okay, well, we're shutting you down." Like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
But we wanted to do this. Like, well, too bad.
Yeah.
You fucked up.
Here's Frostbite, bitches. Use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Poor BioWare.
Yeah,
God.
and what was it? I forget. But the Dead Space, was it Montreal? I can't. What's that? I can't remember.
Oh, yeah. The guy, yeah, I think the guy who made Dead Space was like really pissed about the buyout or something like that, right? Like I remember him saying like,
Well,
I
I just remember they bought them and then they like, made them do something and then they closed them down because whatever they made didn't sell well. It was probably Dead Space 3 too, honestly, but whatever. But yeah,
was Dead Space an EA game prior to Dead Space 3?
I think so.
Here, hold on, I want to look that up.
I think so, but I think it was like EA was like, okay, well, make Dead Space into this, make it into like an action franchise, and they're like, okay, and then it did the least well of all the other two, and then they're like,
Well, I wonder why. Oh, Visceral.
yeah, there you go.
Visceral Games was the one who developed it, and then
Pretty sure it said EA for all of them, but I could be wrong.
let's see. Let me take a look.
I know it was an EA game for Dead Space 2. I know that.
Visceral Games. Dead Space 3 came out when again?
I don't know. Let me guess. I'm gonna look it up right now. 2013. Dead Space 3.
Close.
Ah,
Actually, you're...
no, it's
Oh,
2013.
no, you're right.
Ah, I was right.
2013. Right.
I have a gift.
Very nice, sir. I'm interested. So what happened? Yeah, EA... No, it was always published under Electric Arts. What?
Yeah.
But what happened between Dead Space 3? Like, what... Why...
Like, what do you mean? Like, why did
Like,
they make
what-
it more of an action game?
Yeah, like, why did EA say, like, here's this cool action space horror game that's rooted in being that people like it because it's that.
I think if I remember right, none of the Dead Space games ever sold like really well. They were never like huge financial successes.
Oh
I think
no,
they always
yeah.
kind of lost money. And so after like one, they're like, okay, well, I don't know how much their hands went into two, but two, had more action elements to it, obviously.
Well, they gave Isaac Clarke a voice,
Yeah, but I
which
thought it
is
was a really great blend between horror and action, which is why I love it so much. But then, it didn't sell that well, and so they're like three, like, okay, well, I'm sure there was like a franchise going on at the time, like Resident Evil also did that jump, so I'm sure it was the same mentality, like, yo, people like action games, so make Dead Space 3 an action game.
well, that's why you had co-op, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, that's
I mean the co-op, in theory isn't bad, but Dead Space
oh no
3
no
was such a big departure from Dead Space 2. Like from combat to the scares to everything. It's like, what game am I playing right now?
yeah. But I mean, you have to admit that like when you add co-op to a game, it automatically makes it kind of less scary. Like imagine if they did that to like I don't know Resident Evil 2. You know what I mean? Like if like it would be fun. That sounds like super fun to me. Like
Yeah.
you playing Claire and me playing Leon. Or
Yeah, I'm
whatever.
sure. Yeah, that was also
Or me
the
playing
mentality.
Tofu. But like you know what I mean? Like it's more fun now because it's like here I'll go distract Mr. X while you
Yeah,
go
yeah,
solve
that's
the
true,
puzzle.
but
You know,
the
and it just makes it more fun as opposed to a less
yeah,
horrifying.
but I know
experience.
EA's well, we both know EA's known for doing that. I think
Yeah.
did they do that to no BioWare's still fine. Well,
No,
no, not fine. No,
BioWare,
okay, not fine, not
BioWare's,
fine.
dude, bro.
Well,
People are actually concerned BioWare's like gonna shut its doors.
no, that's
and
what
they're
I
just
mean.
gonna
No,
get
sorry, no, I
evaporated.
didn't mean fine. I meant they're still open, but they were severely like cut down and after Andromeda. No, by fine I meant still open.
Yeah, they're still alive.
No, that's what I meant. That's what I
Yeah,
meant by fine.
yeah. Oh man, have you heard about all the Anthem controversy? This is fairly
I mean,
old
yeah,
news.
no, that's really old. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know well, because of like some new stuff. Like they had a roadmap, right? That like all these
Oh yeah.
updates and all these plans, and then they're like, oh well, those are gone.
Oh yeah, no, they
Sorry.
they Destinied it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Well, but hey, but Destiny's free now. Destiny can do whatever the heck they
Well,
want.
yeah, but at the time it wasn't free.
I don't know what. Can I? I
It,
want
it
to
was
talk
like
about
the
that for a
same. It was
second.
like the same thing where, like Destiny, you could tell like the way that game was made. They had plans, and then I forget it. I don't know what I'm trying to say exactly, but
No.
they weren't
Destiny
giving
was
it in.
Destiny was hyped up to be like one of the coolest things ever because it's in concept. It is the coolest thing ever.
Yep.
Like it's a space explorer with buddies and shooting and items and magic and weapons. It's awesome. What you got was a super insanely grindy, slow-paced, just not a whole lot to do kind of game. From what I
I
understand in
think that's
Destiny 1.
what I'm trying to say. You
Yeah.
you reminded me. It's where clearly Destiny and Anthem were meant to be certain things.
Yeah.
And there were like people mentioned, well, it was in development for this long, but clearly at some point in the middle or near the end, they were like, okay, well now it has to be this thing because of trends or whatever. So it has to be this
Yeah.
thing now, and they're like, okay, well how long do we have? Like you have like a year or two. Like okay,
Yeah.
and then it comes like Anthem came out as a mess because I'm from what I remember reading, that's what happened with that game.
Yeah.
It's in development for a long time. Then they said, okay, well, go back to the cutting board. You can use some like the assets and everything, but like you have to rework this thing almost entirely to make it something else.
Yeah, from what I understand, Anthem's development was so messy and so messed up and gross and disgusting that they were still technically in pre-production.
Yep.
I think like a year or like a year from launch
Yep.
or something like that, which was like that's
Yeah,
bad.
it was super bad.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Like that's the thing though, is like all these big multiplayer super games are like kind of hyped up to be, like these. They're hyped up to be more than what they actually end up being. Usually, some of them usually end up being like really cool, really good. But it's kind of rare when you get one that works 100%. So I don't know. I mean, But like I don't know, man. I just think it's funny how like people are like hyped that Sony bought BioWare. Oh, not BioWare. Sorry, that bought
Insomniac, yeah.
Insomniac.
Well,
Yeah,
you know,
Insomniac.
their quality speaks for themselves.
Remind me, is Naughty Dog owned by Sony?
Yeah,
Because they don't make. Okay,
yeah,
I
yeah,
thought so.
yeah. That's a Sony
As well as
company.
Sucker Punch, right? Because Sucker Punch has
Yes,
never made
yes.
another game for
Yeah,
another
they are.
platform. I
They
believe.
are.
Okay.
But well,
Oh, so they got the big three.
it's
Cool.
the difference between like Xbox got Insomniac to make a game for them, and yeah, from what I hear, it's like kind of mixed. Some people really like it, but some people are like, this is like not like the best game in the world, but you know, it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Spider-Man, I feel like, you know, Spider-Man came out, everybody was like, this is one of the greatest superhero games ever. This is one of the best PS4 exclusives ever. I think, was it the best Sony exclusive ever? As far as I remember?
Spider-Man for PS4.
Yeah, I think.
For a lot of people, it's up for debate whether it was Spider-Man or God of War.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because God of War, I mean, but that's
Well,
what
I just mean like best selling. I think for best selling, I think it was Spider-Man.
God of War sold a crap ton of copies
It
though,
did.
so I don't know. Best selling PS4 exclusive. Let me look that up.
All right. But yeah,
Give me
so
one quick
it's
second.
it's as you're looking it up, it's like that mentality where, yeah, Microsoft doesn't do anything with these companies that they have. Like Halo's been in a standstill forever, and you know Bungie was like, okay, well now we're gonna leave. That's how bad it was.
Let's see. I don't know if this list is ordered. Let's take a look. In the top 10 is... Okay, for the exclusives, you are right, sir. It is Marvel's Spider-Man.
Oh right, yeah, that's what I thought.
Marvel's Spider-Man sold more than... Allegedly, this is taking from comicbook.com, so I don't know if these numbers are 100% accurate still. I think they are, but not 100%, so don't take my word for it. But according to this list, Marvel's Spider-Man is the number one best-selling PS4 exclusive. Second is God of War. 3 is Horizon Zero Dawn, which is an awesome game. 4 is Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. And 5 is Bloodborne, which I literally did not know was a PS4 exclusive, actually.
Yep. Yes,
Wow.
it is.
Days Gone is number 6.
Wow. All right.
I did not know that.
I didn't know
Okay,
either.
but yeah, so...
But yeah, yeah. So just like that alone, so yeah, like that's why that's why people are confident about it. Where Microsoft's like, well, we'll see what happens. They got a bunch of new studios, but we'll see what they do.
And they've had Rare for how many years? But it's like, I mean...
Sea of Thieves, baby.
That game was sad.
It is sad. Who knew you can make a No Man's Sky again, you know? Who knew? But worse.
Yeah, actually. I remember calling though back in the day. I remember calling like my brother. It was funny. My brother was like, "Dude, like, No Man's Sky looks like a really hype game," and I'm like, "Yeah, it looks okay." He's like, "Why? What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, I mean, what do you do in the game? Like, they haven't said anything about what you do." He's like, "You can find the center of the universe." I'm like, "Yeah, but if there's like trillions and trillions of planets, how the frick are you supposed to find the center of the universe? Like, there's no guide, there's no story." Like, I remember calling that, and then like when it came out and everybody said the same thing, I'm like, I said this. Like, I was like, I said that. But I mean, I don't.
Oh, yeah, no, the writing was on the wall for that game for
Yeah.
a while.
I feel bad for those guys specifically because from what I understand, like they wanted to make this game, but because they got so much press, because they got so many people like talking about this game, they were like, oh no. And so that's why if you watch some interviews, you see the guy like say like,
You mean he straight up lies to people?
well, he does lie. Like he lies a
That's
lot.
That's why I don't feel bad about it. Like he should have lied to people like weeks before it came out.
You know that he did.
And then
but I mean, like
the whole
you
story
got.
of how like people were going to the studio to like try to maybe get like a word from the people or like from the guy, and it was just closed. Like the people were gone.
Yeah, they thought that they were closed down and shut down, but
Yep.
like no, we're still here. I think they just moved buildings or something like that. But I mean, they eventually turned it around and made, whatever the new update's called, No Man's Sky
Hey,
Journey
don't
or something like that.
don't lie to your audience.
Oh no, don't ever. But I mean, shoot, how many people have gotten away with this in the video game industry for however long? I mean, you ever heard of a man called Peter Montilou?
I mean, probably.
He was surprisingly, he worked for Microsoft. He's the guy I think who created a few hit games like Fable. He was involved in the development of the Kinect. He is like known for lying. Like one of the things he said, I think in Fable 2 or Fable 1, Fable 2, I think. He said that if you planted an acorn and you came back a year later, that acorn would have turned into a tree. He's talking about in the game world. Mm-hmm. And that didn't happen. You can't do that in that game. You can't. There's no acorn in the game. So he's like a well-known guy who's like built for, or not built. He's well known for saying things and they end up not being true. Like he's lying just to sell the game. So, but I mean, I don't know, man. I can't think of any of the like I'm looking at the games on my shelf right now, and I'm like, I can't think of any game that like broke its promise to me. I mean, maybe Final Fantasy 15 did for you, where it's like, you know, where you kind of look at the game and you're like, oh, well, that's yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah. I don't know what Final Fantasy 15 most likely promised big open world for the entirety of the game, like lots of exploration elements, lots of cool classic RPG elements as well. And I mean, you get that, but you only get that to I think the half degree.
Well, when you look at the first 15 trailer, you know, when it turned from versus 13 to 15, that looks ambitious. You know, that's an ambitious game right there. And if you take into account, which may not be fair, the 13 footage where you could switch between, you know, your party members, you could pick Noctis or whoever else.
Yeah.
Where in the, you know, when the game first came out, you couldn't do that, and then, all the really ambitious stuff that not necessarily promised, but they showed you, and were like, yo, this is gonna be great. You're like, oh, it's fine, okay, all right. It's kind of it's missing its story, but you know.
Yeah. I mean, which is kind of key in an RPG, which is ironic because like that's the main thing that people buy them for. Like, but again, like I'm looking on my shelf and I can't think of any of the games that I bought where I'm like, oh well, actually, I take that back. Star Wars Battlefront broke its promise to me. I do own that game.
Well,
not Battlefront 2, just one.
I mean, you knew going in.
I didn't know. Well, I didn't buy it. Number one, my brother bought it. So my brother buys things that look cool and he just buys them, and I'm like, bro, why'd you buy this? I remember specifically. He called me. He's like, dude, we got Battlefront. I'm like, why? Why did you buy that game? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, dude, that game has like 2 maps and that's it.
Yes,
like,
no. So you knew that.
Oh, I knew.
Yeah.
My brother, but like that's the thing. When I first saw the trailer, I was so excited because I was like, oh shoot. Okay. Because Star Wars Battlefront, if you've never played the PS2 original or Xbox, I don't know, whatever console it was on. Like, if you ever played that game is hype. Yep. That game is really fun. It's super simple. It's just a super simple, like, TPS, FPS, like, kind of war strategy. Not really strategy. It's like a war game where you just try to capture command posts and other things like that. It's just a lot of fun in all in the Star Wars universe. Like,
I don't think that game lied to us. I think it was just, you know, really disappointing and all that. Well, I don't think it ever lied to us.
I think it 50% lied to you because I think Battlefront 1, specifically Battlefront 1, Battlefront 2 has lies up its butt. I think so for that. Battlefront 1 for me, like, lied to me in the sense that, like, it promised that you would be able to, like, you know, you'd just be able to play the game on the most, I think, basic level, where it's like you have all these great Star Wars environments, all these wonderful places, all these cool, great things, and it's like, okay, well, that is there, but you only get to go to like 4 or 5 locations.
See, I think that's, again, like, it's a bad game. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying I think it's like what we thought we were gonna get based off the previous titles, and then what we got. Like, I feel like when they were showing off that game, I don't think they ever told us, like, yo, you're gonna be able to do this and this. Like, I think we assumed those things because of how good the games were before.
But, like, and here's my thing, though. Like, I don't think Star Wars Battlefront is a bad game. I think it's a terrible package. I think for what you get for paying however much money you paid for this game, you're getting, like, almost something that should have been at base price at the, like, when it first came out, like $30, maybe like 20, honestly, because you don't have a single player. The only single player stuff you have is like survival mode. You have like skirmishes, which just aren't nearly as functional as the ones online. Like, there's no reason to play skirmishes. Like, unless you have a friend and you want to get like something similar to the original Battlefront feel, which you never will through skirmishes. That's like your only option. But like the game controls fine for a long time. I loved playing it. Like, it was fun to play, but like after a while, like you just realize that like it was just really shallow package where it's like I'm at the same place doing the same thing, playing different mode, and it's like Battlefront 3 is like so different because it's like it's got all these freaking maps. Doesn't even matter which if you own them, I think. Like I could, at least I don't remember. Like I remember hopping online and playing in a few of the maps that I didn't own, and it was like it was fun. Like Battlefront is like you hop in the same 3 worlds and it's like everybody knows the best places to go already. So it's like you're gonna just lose.
Well,
And
see,
like
I would argue because of that, it's a bad game because of how unbalanced it was when it came out. Loot boxes versus like.
Oh no loot boxes for Battlefront 1.
Weren't there? No, just 2.
I don't think so.
Okay,
no,
then forget that part.
2, yeah.
Well, how unbalanced? I know how unbalanced the game was when it first came out. How there's really not much to do, like play online.
Yeah.
The features that were in Battlefront 2, even Battlefront 1 versus the features that were in EA's Battlefront, I would argue, at least for me, I would argue that would make it a bad game.
I can understand
like Destiny
that, yeah.
itself controls fine. It is fun to play for like a few hours, but yeah, it's very grindy. Loot boxes in that one for sure. The story is nothing what they like even hinted at in the previous stuff. They straight up, took it out and were like, we'll put this in for later DLC and all that. Like technically as a game and gameplay mechanics, like it's fun and it's functional. But I was like, okay, well, I'm doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over, and there's nothing to do. That's why I don't like Destiny. That's why they get a bad game.
Yeah, I can agree with that, I guess. I think what I mean is like the gameplay was fun. Like it was functional, it worked. It was actually like some of the guns were really fun to use. Playing as the heroes, even though they were so rare because you had to find them, which was stupid.
Oh yeah.
You had to pick up freaking hero coins.
Yeah, hero coins.
Yeah. Oh no, Battlefront 2.
Damn.
Hero coins are Battlefront
same
2.
thing.
Battlefront 1, no. Battlefront 1 does, I think, a dumber system. Battlefront 1, there are cards in the map, right?
Yeah.
And they're hidden in secret locations. If you wanted to play as a hero, all you needed to do was memorize the map and understand where those cards were going to spawn, pick them up, boom.
Is that not the same in Battlefront 2?
Battlefront 2, you have to like earn rewards, like so you as you play the game, you'll get like I think coins, and you'll be able to spend them to play as that hero for that time. That's how it works. Like I think if in Battlefront 2, it's more of a progression in the match. Like if you save your coins, you can get different perks, like a better ship when you're flying and things like that. Which is, I don't know, doesn't sound any better. It sounds kind of dumb to me still.
I mean, everybody agreed it was still as bad as 1.
Hey, if it is, then that's fine. I didn't buy 2, of course. But 1 was just kind of dumb because you were getting the same people playing the same, like, Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader. And heroes were insanely hard to kill. So it's like, if you wanted to become god of the match, all you had to do was just find the right freaking card. And it's like, wow. So that's all it takes, I mean, I remember one time, though, I did kill Darth Vader. That was fun. I did manage to kill Darth Vader, so that was kind of cool. But honestly, like, see, that's the thing, is like I have a lot of moments where I was like, oh, this game's fun. But then, like, I'd play it again, and I'd be like, oh, well, I mean, I could have gotten the same kind of thing in, like, Battlefront 3, or Battlefield 3, or, different, like, Call of Duty game and stuff like that, so. But, I mean, I don't know. But Battlefront 2, in terms of ratio to lies, like, they lied to you straight out the gate. Like, I would say that, like, they were like, oh, you don't get to pay for power. You don't really have to. Guess what?
Yeah, those are lies. Those are straight up lies.
Those were straight up lies. Like, that was a big old fat lie. So, I mean, my hope is that they don't do the same with this upcoming Star Wars game. The Fallen Order? Fallen Jedi?
Yeah, from what I hear, it's pretty good.
I'm sure. Hey, if we're judging gameplay, like that looks fine. Everything looks
It looks
fine.
okay. Like the
It look
game, like the lightsaber stuff itself looks okay.
yeah.
You know.
I think didn't someone say it's like, oh, it's like Dark Souls with Star Wars. I'm like, that does not look like Dark Souls at all. Like
It is not. Well, that's what people say. For
yeah,
everything.
I was like, yeah, I said Crash Bandicoot was
Yeah.
freaking Dark Souls, but like I don't. I mean, I'm excited for it, but like I'm just very 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 like, where's the catch here? Like, where's the EA like? Where is it? Because there's no way you guys were like, after saying all this stuff about, oh well, people don't play single player games anymore. I mean, it's just the way people are.
don't.
Nobody, even though Spider-Man and God of War are some of the best selling
Hey,
games
that was
of all
before
time.
those games came out, Blake. That was
Oh
before.
well, guess what? They were specifically made to shut EA up and say like, yo, screw you guys. Like Sony even said like yeah, we're gonna make more single player games because that's stupid. Like they said that actually. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but like they said something along the lines of, "No, EA, you guys are stupid if you think that. Here are some of the best selling games on the console," and it's like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder why. It's almost as if people still like single player games, you know? Like
Well, it's
I don't
because,
know.
like, in their minds, they make less money because they can't put as much microtransactions
Well,
and the
yeah.
loot boxes and the season passes. That's
Yeah.
where they make their money.
Yeah. But I guarantee this game is gonna have like some form of like, oh, you can buy this
Oh, yeah.
Obi-Wan costume for your
probably.
character, or yeah, and I mean that's gonna be like, oh, I don't know, like what do you think, like 99 cents? No, $5.99 for that costume, $10.99 for that costume. Like
Hey, Street Fighter, baby.
Street Fighter 5 is probably well. Hey, Capcom. Oh Lord, actually, I have to link you a specific video I was talking about, or I saw from Maximilian Dude, where he's talking about netcode for fighting games.
Oh, yeah,
have
I've
you
seen
seen
that,
this?
yeah.
Okay, you did. Where he's talking about like how like what is
Yeah.
it? Not made here or not invented
Oh, yeah,
here or something like that.
Yeah, they try to make their own engine or own
Yeah,
netcode so
and it
we can
never
sell it
works
to other
out.
people and all that, yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like Capcom Street Fighter 5 is like the perfect result of like where Capcom was at the time. I think now they've understood like, okay, well let's Resident Evil came out, Resident Evil 7, and then they're like, yo, RE remake. The Resident Evil guys are on a freaking roll, by the way. Then they're like DMC 5 and like boom, Devil May Cry's back, baby. Everybody, I haven't heard anybody say like Devil May Cry 5 sucks, At least I haven't. I've heard people say like, that's a great game, like it's a good game. Mega Man came back and everybody was pretty happy about that. Everybody remembered how hard a Mega Man game could be.
Yep.
I mean, Capcom's kind of coming back. I mean, I think their fighting game division is the one that's struggling because they just, number one, they're working with people that like, specifically Marvel and Disney. Don't ever work with Marvel and Disney ever again, Capcom, please. I know you guys want to make Marvel vs. Capcom again, but pick somebody else,
I mean,
please.
I know Marvel was like all like the X-Men and why we didn't get characters, but Capcom on their own really messed up that game.
No, Capcom.
I would say more so than Disney.
No, okay, no. Because here's the thing: Disney didn't just say no X-Men. Disney also said you need to make our characters look like the best. This is legit.
Yeah, but Capcom was like, they put no money into Infinite.
That is true. They had no budget for that game.
Yeah,
that is 100%.
But it's like, why not? I mean, you
Why
heard
not?
right that at the budget for one season of Street Fighter was the same budget as they had for Infinite.
I did not hear that.
Yeah.
Dang, that's crazy.
That's how much they gave Infinite. They're like, it's fine. Just reuse the assets from 3. It'll be fine. Whatever. Who cares?
That is true. They did reuse the assets from 3, the modeling. They just didn't use the shading and lighting effects on them. They changed that up. That's why some characters look overly shiny.
But I mean, I'm not saying Disney didn't do all that, but I think Capcom was, in terms of how much money they put into it, how it looked, which half of the perception was like, where are all the characters, and the other half was like, why does this game look like garbage?
I think that the number one concern, or the number one thing people were like, this is not a Marvel game, or this is not my Marvel game, is where is everybody? I think that was the number one thing, because you had some hype characters making a return. You had Mega Man X coming back. You had Sigma as DLC. You had Venom as DLC. You had, you had Captain Marvel as a brand new character. You had, you had like the Monster Hunters DLC. Like, you had some great characters show up.
It was the, what is it? Sorry. But the fighting game team who worked on Infinite, they were passionate about it, and they really wanted to make the best game. But Capcom, the higher ups, were like, you get this much budget, just reuse the assets. And then, obviously Disney was like, okay, well, this, and this. And then that's what we got.
No X-Men, no Fantastic Four. Also, in all of your marketing, our characters have to be the ones beating up your Capcom characters. And in the story mode, it has to be Thanos as the main bad guy. Or it has to be, Thanos has to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. And then Combo Fiend who's I think the marketing guy for that game, didn't help when he said something like, well, people play Magneto because
he has this tool.
He has an 8-way dash. Well, guess what? Nova's got that. You're fine. You don't need Magneto. And it's like, uh-oh. Why would you say that? Don't diss fighting game characters. Like, those are not just functions. Those are characters that people have a deep attachment to,
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Street Fighter V obviously is just I think Street Fighter V was a weird game, because it's like that game had issues so detrimental to its launch. Like, there was no story mode, and people were like, okay, well, that sucks. There wasn't really even an arcade mode.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, we're gonna get it to you later. Get it to you later. People paid $60
That's what I'm saying, man.
for this.
Capcom and their fighting games, so like, well, who cares?
But obviously, Street Fighter V was targeting the competitive crowd, but the competitive crowd has been so divisive against this game. Specifically with the mechanics. Like, people were hating on Street Fighter V Season 2 because there was no defensive option. And I remember I discussed with you at the tournament, there was a game that people were playing called Who Does Capcom Like? Where it's Capcom was buffing and nerfing characters just so they could shuffle characters on the screen, you know what I mean? And if I'm not mistaken, I believe they're the morons who decided to patch the game a week or two before Evo and nerf a bunch and patch a bunch of characters or something like that. I don't know if this was for Marvel vs. Capcom or Street Fighter V, but I remember hold on, let me look this up. I think it was Capcom who did this. They didn't patch it. They balance
versus
patched the
who?
game.
Capcom versus who?
What do you mean Capcom versus who?
Who else would have done it?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't think Arc Systems would do such a thing. They're not. Was it? Okay, hold on. Who?
Street Fighter? Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Let me look up and see if it's Marvel vs. Capcom.
Well, I was like, Capcom owns Street Fighter, so who else would do that to Street Fighter?
Patch. Hold on.
I mean, ArcSys always saves their patches till after. They always make a big deal.
Yeah.
They always make a big deal out of it after the tournament.
Yeah. Okay, hold on a second. Let me see. I
can't find it.
I cannot find who it was, but I know that there was some controversy surrounding this time. Hold on a second. I believe it was Street Fighter V. I believe there was a time. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I do remember that there was some controversy about one of the fighting games, and I believe it was Street Fighter V that tried to balance patch the game before Evo. Mm-hmm. So everybody got thrown off about who they were going to play because some characters were better and some characters were worse. So I believe so. Don't take my word for that, but I remember that was an issue. But I mean, my question is what are they going to do after this, specifically in the fighting game division? Marvel vs. Capcom is kind of
dead.
I don't think it's dead. I don't think at least
dead
the
for now.
Capcom versus here. But that's what I mean. I don't think the Versus series is dead. Like, I don't think Capcom will ever stop crossing over with hype.
Well, no, I just mean Marvel's Capcom at the moment.
I think the relationship between Marvel and Capcom is most likely.
Yeah, probably. But
Library. That means a lot to people. And I mean, to be fair, this whole Capcom versus Marvel thing started because of Street Fighter versus X-Men. So it's like when you can't use the legacy characters of your own technically franchise, that's what are you going to do, So I think that relationship is dead. I mean, I don't think Capcom is going to approach DC because I don't think DC is going to do much about it. They're owned by Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers makes Injustice and Mortal Kombat. So, I mean, I would like to see a new approach to it. I mean, if they ever remade it and made it better, I wouldn't mind seeing Capcom versus Tekken come back. Because I heard that game was like fun but terrible and dumb.
you mean it was a shit show?
I don't know what happened with that game. I don't know all the story of that game. All I know is that like
It had like
people,
no characters, I remember, and all that.
how no characters are in that game. That game has a huge roster.
Well, at the time, I'm pretty sure.
Really?
I'm pretty sure. It doesn't matter. I could be wrong about it, but
I don't know. There was something, but people don't like that game no more. So, I mean, I don't know. But I mean, I'd like to see Capcom versus maybe like Square Enix or like Street Fighter versus Final Fantasy. Like that'd be cool. I'd be down for that. I mean, it'd be completely different worlds, but I mean, I mean, Street Fighter 6 is definitely gonna be made. I think for sure.
oh yeah, it's just that's what people are wondering. Like they're doing great on every other front. What's gonna happen when Street Fighter 6 comes out?
And yeah, and that my question is it gonna be like 5 or is it gonna be like something new,
Yep,
something
that's
old,
the question.
something So I mean, well, I guess we'll have to find out, of course, with time. But I don't know, man. I mean, what an interesting time it is for fighting games. So, I mean, a lot of the fighting games we have right now are just gonna be, what's the word? They're just gonna be supported for the long term. Like Mortal Kombat 11, I think is good. We're gonna be seeing like at least a solid like 3 to 4 seasons of DLC for that game, maybe 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think Mortal Kombat 11 is gonna be like a really big game in the long running game, as opposed to them working on the next one. You know what I mean? So like for example, I think my hope in terms of Mortal Kombat stuff. This is completely random. I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but my hope is that once MK11 is done, I assume they're working on like pre-production of Injustice 3. Like that's my assumption because like let's be honest, NRS only makes 2 games,
Mm-hmm.
2 game franchises.
Yep.
So my assumption is that they're making Injustice 3 as of right now, and they're gonna make that game, and then once that game's made, I think they're gonna. My hope is that they do something different. Like I want to see NRS take on a different game, like either a new fighting game, like franchise, or just like a new style of game. Like I would like to see NRS make like like I don't know, just something like a shooter or something interesting. Because NRS only makes MK and Injustice, and it's like I love them. Like they do some pretty good work, but I would really like to see them do something different. That's just me. And that's completely random. Don't know why I brought that up.
Very random.
I don't know why I brought that up. But anyways, how did we get on the subject of fighting games? How did we get here?
I think you pulled us here, I think.
Well, we were talking about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then we talked about wow, that was a crazy journey we just went on. What the heck? How did we get from Spider-Man on PS4?
I don't know. I really don't know. I was thinking it, but I blame you. I just assume.
I mean, you can also thank me. I mean, this has been one of the most intellectual conversations.
Has it?
I think so.
Intellectual?
Hey, man, we've had some great conversations. This has been good.
You're not wrong.
No,
I don't mind it. I was just like, how did we get here? And I was like, I just had a nagging feeling. Like, I feel like Blake brought us all the way here.
Yeah. Well, because we started talking about Spider-Man, and then I think we talked about Batman and like how that game and the Easter eggs and stuff like that. And then after that, we
Yeah,
somehow
see,
got on. I don't know where.
no,
I don't
see,
know
yeah,
where the
that's the
turn.
thing.
No, no, hold on.
No, then we got to Insomniac and Microsoft, and
Yes.
Microsoft with Destiny and No Man's Sky and Anthem,
How
and
did my question is how?
I don't know the jump from that to Capcom.
Yeah. Well, I think we were talking about games that didn't keep their promises, and you
Well,
said
then
Street Fighter
Battle.
Five.
No, not what? Did I?
Yeah, I said Battlefront. And I was talking. I was like, or games that lie, or games that have like they just patch it later or something like that. We got on the subject of Capcom because of DLC.
I don't think I mentioned Street Fighter Five.
Yes, you did. I didn't mention Street Fighter
So
Five. I
okay,
know
so
you
I
mentioned
mentioned it. Oh, whatever. No,
Pretty sure you mentioned Street Fighter Five.
well, you mentioned Infinite. I think that's what happened.
Did I mention Infinite? I don't
I
remember
think you
mentioning
did.
Infinite.
I don't know. It doesn't
I'll
matter.
go.
Let's
I'll
move
go
on.
back.
Let's move on.
Okay.
Uh,
So that's any. Oh my gosh. You know where we?
what else have
So
you
that's.
been playing?
I was just about to say. I'm like that's. I only got through one of those.
No, yeah, no, I didn't want to interrupt.
Honestly, that's kind of it. Sorry, just to finish my thing up. I've been only playing like Smash Brothers and Mario Kart, obviously, and then a little bit of Spider-Man, which I'm hoping to finish up by this week.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully by the end of by our next recording session, I will have that game finished. So.
Fantastic! Can't wait.
Okay, so what have you been playing? Oh my gosh.
Yep. No, at the 50-minute mark, I was thinking I haven't even. Am I gonna get to my thing?
I'm so sorry. I mean,
No,
we were just talking about everything.
no,
So
like
shoot.
no, like you were saying. No, it was a good conversation, so I didn't
Mm.
mind. But I was like, I guess I'll save this for next week.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, what have you been playing? I can't wait for this. I feel like I'm gonna have a lot to say about something.
Let's see.
Unless
So
you say like, oh, nothing.
for games, not much. I've just what I've been streaming. Well, first, um, briefly mention that stuff. But first, Smash, obviously.
Mm.
I at the moment I'm trying to see if switching the C stick to tilt is a good idea. I'm experimenting with that. I tried out with Lucina, I think, first against Blake a few days ago. But then I tried it online and it was working pretty well. I was like, yo, well, I knew this, obviously. But I was like, Lucina's tilts are really good. And,
Yes.
I knew that, but it's harder to do it, as I'm sure you know, when you don't have it on the C stick. At least, as fast and all that. But I was like, yo, that's another great option for me. I don't just have to either neutral air or side B, because those are like my two approach options. I can tilt as well. That works really good. And then I thought, okay, well, at the end of the night, I wanted to try I just wanted to play some Palutena before I went to bed. And I was like, I forgot to switch the Smash to tilt. I forgot to switch tilt back to Smash. And so I played with the tilt, and not as productive because, her tilts aren't as good as Lucina's. But I was like, you know what, let's just try it. Let's try going full C stick as tilt stick. And I played some matches today as of this recording, and it worked pretty well, Palutena's tilts aren't the best approach, but it is another tool to use. And that's what I'm figuring out right now about it is another tool to use, but is it like worth it? Is it worth having that tool with Palutena and like Robin? Because that's at the moment he's probably my secondary at the moment. So, and at the same time, I'm trying to focus on a up smash, the quick up smash. I'm trying to. It's been years since I've had to do the, hold A and the stick to do a smash. So that's what I'm working on right now for Smash. At some point, me and you, Blake, we need to practice together. So I, see if it's working or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, yeah.
To be perfectly honest with you, I only changed it to C sticks just so I could do side tilts. Up tilts and down tilts I have no issue doing with the analog and A button.
Mm-hmm.
I actually kind of prefer it, but like just out of shield, it's so hard to do a side tilt without like either rolling, accidentally doing a smash attack,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. So it's like I just changed it so I could do side tilts with certain characters, because some of the characters I play have like side tilts that just aren't really that good.
Mm-hmm.
But like some of the ones like King K. Rool or like Ridley's is fast-ish, not really. King Deities is really good. So
Yeah.
things like that. That's the only reason I did that.
No, 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 that is true, but it's like when it's you have to stick as the tilt. I remember more like, oh, I have up tilt and I have down tilt, versus like before that. Once in a while, I'll remember and I go, okay, yeah, I should do up tilt here or down tilt, whatever. But
Yeah.
since I'm training myself to use the tilt more, for side, I remember, okay, well, you also have up tilt and down tilt since you're trying to get side tilt right now. I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. Let me do that more. And so it's trying to get more comfortable, try to remember the tilts and all that. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, there's there's a learning curve with it. I remember it was kind of weird, but now it's kind of instinctual now. You just
Yes.
gotta practice
So,
with it.
I've been practicing the quick up smash with Palatino, but, we'll fight and, I'll ask you if, how you think, if it's worth it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see.
Sounds good.
But,
Sounds good.
yeah, so that's mostly what I've been playing like in my free time. But for stream time, I've been playing I played so far, finished 2 Resident Evil games. I'm about to finish another one. But so been going through all the Resident Evil games. For those who are joining us now, uh, I played Resident Evil Zero first, which is the prequel to Resident Evil 1, and that was a pretty good game. I had to get used to the like not third, yeah, not really normal third person, where it's I had to get used to the over the head style with the
Mm-hmm.
shooting and all that, and I was like, oh my god, how do you play this game? Because Resident Evil does not tell you how to play the game right away. At least for 0 and 1, they do not tell you how to play those games.
No, they don't.
And
Well,
I,
I mean, because
and I was
shoot,
like, wait,
that's
how do I shoot? I was like, I forget what it was. It was like left bumper and X for 0, and then it was different for 1. I was like, what? How do you play? But no, Resident Evil 0 was very fun. I know a lot of people. It's like you kind of love or hate that game, I guess,
yeah.
from what I've seen. And I liked it a lot. I thought it was pretty good. It helps that it was my first Resident Evil aside from Resident Evil 2 remake, so I really had nothing to compare it to. But it was a good game. I enjoyed it.
Mm. Well, that's good. I'm glad you enjoyed Zero. Because of your streams, I actually kind of want to try Resident Evil 1 just because it seems so like it's the OG, and I
Mm-hmm.
feel like if I like that one, I mean, I already know I'll probably like Resident Evil 2 remake just for the sake of its being a TPS,
Mm-hmm.
which I mean, the survival element is like the bane because I'm just trash at those games. Like any survival things. You know what I mean? Like I'm just bad at managing resources and things like that. But Resident Evil 1, because of its kind of unique fixed perspective and its kind of limited mobility and unique kind of camera angle stuff, and I don't know, I wouldn't mind trying it,
Oh,
but
it was something to get used to. But
yeah, well, I know that,
well, yeah, well, bringing it forward, Resident Evil 1. Uh, it was I talked about this on stream with Blake, but let me see if you agree, Blake. That would you agree that 1 is less straightforward than 0? I know 0 is still not the most straightforward game, and you have to backtrack and find stuff. But what do you think about that? About that statement?
I don't know.
Because I feel like you get a lot
I
more lost in 1. Like Blake had to guide me pretty much the entire time with 1, because I was like, because there were things like you can like Blake knows I could have not gotten the shotgun because I went to a certain room first without having like something else, or I went there before I was supposed to go somewhere else. And there's a few times like that in Resident Evil 1
mhm.
where I was like, if I didn't know where to go and in what sequence, I could have like screwed up my game.
Okay, actually, so I I think so. I think what's interesting about Resident Evil 1 specifically is the fact that you are really uncertain as to what you should be doing to get like the best results. Like the way we did it with the shotgun thing, like you if you did it the way you were on, where you went inside and you got the Barry cutscene before the shotgun sequence, um, the only thing that would have affected is that you wouldn't have gotten the shotgun at that moment. Because if you went in there, grabbed the shotgun, you would not have gotten pulled out by Barry. Barry, you would have died. You got crushed to death. But when you got downstairs into, I think, like the basement-ish level, there is a broken shotgun that you're supposed to replace with the shotgun in that room, so you could have solved the puzzle and stuff like that. It just like.
But
I
I do feel like there was a few times though where if I did a certain thing out of order, it could have not like I had to restart, but it could have been like oh, like you should have done this first. Like what? Okay.
Yeah, that's how I feel mostly. Is like I feel like Resident Evil 1 relies way more on sequence.
Yeah.
Rather like in terms of like you can get to the end of the game just fine on your own, but getting it to it with the best result, best ending or other things, among other things.
Yeah, but it also would have taken me like I would say triple the time.
Yeah.
If you weren't there to go, okay, you go here and take this here, because even like the mansion, like it's a lot more open than like Resident Evil 0. It starts you off on the train where you really only have like the back of the train or the front, which I think was a really good way to open you up to when you get to the other mansion.
Yeah.
It's okay. You started in this small place, now you're in a bigger place, and you have more an idea of what to do. And even RE2 Remake, where I had, this is my third playthrough with it, but I feel like even like my first playthrough, I feel like after a certain point, I was like, okay, like I know where everything is. Like I know where really every place is, and the shortcuts I can take to get to like the third floor faster. I can go through the library, or I can go through just the normal stairs, through the shower room. Or even again, it could have been because you were helping me, and so maybe I didn't have to memorize it as much. But Resident Evil 1, still, I was like, okay, like wait, okay, so to get to the second safe room, I have to go. Okay, I'm lost. Like, and I was like, I would say that was like 8 hours in, which is like a decent chunk for Resident Evil games. But I was still like, I don't know where I'm going. Still.
Yeah, I think 0 is more straightforward, and I think that's why people are 50-50 on it.
Okay.
Is because of the fact that like it's 50-50. It's you know where you're going, and it's less about sequence and more about just kind of figuring out the next step to do, as opposed to Resident Evil 1, which is less about that. Because you can kind of do the 4 masks in any kind of sequence, really.
Yeah.
Like, you just need to know how to solve the puzzles and how to get through the obstacles. And it's like, I think that's more about what Resident Evil 1 is more like, is like, it depends on, in your opinion, like, or just in anyone's opinion, like, how you feel about sequencing. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I think that's why I'm kind of interested in it, is because of the fact that, like, it's more sequency as opposed to kind of a straight and narrow kind of thing. But I don't know. I probably suck at it, but I wouldn't mind trying.
I would argue, like 0 isn't like still super straightforward though. Like it's still.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, we still had trouble
like,
with that.
Once you get to the mansion, you have to,
Yeah, that's where I think That's where I think the game gets a little bit more like its predecessor, where it's more about sequence than anything.
Yeah, but
because like
it's still less so
yeah.
though. Like
it's
still Resident Evil in that it's still like you do have to find and figure out where things are and what things
puzzles,
to pick up.
Yeah, puzzles, survivals, and
but one, the way the mansion is structured in 1, it's more open where you can get way more lost easy.
Yeah. No, I agree with that for sure.
But sorry, no, go on.
No, I was gonna say RE2 Remake though completely.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me just finish on 1. Overall thoughts on 1. I liked it a lot. I think again I like 0, but I like Jill a lot. Jill was really cool. Versus like Rebecca, where she's like the main character technically of that game, but you mainly play as Billy, and Billy's like fine, But Jill was really cool. The atmosphere, fantastic in that game. Everybody talks about the atmosphere, and that's why survival horror and Resident Evil became so big and all that. It did such a great job with that, of course. and the atmosphere and all that's fantastic for one. I love that way more in 1 and 0. And overall, I would probably say I like 1 more, just in terms of that. 1, I got way more lost, and I needed way more help from Blake. But like thinking on it, like Jill, Chris, Barry, and all that, I'm like, yo, like 1 was really good. That was a really good game. I enjoyed. But yeah, RE2 remake. Of course, like the jump is like you would go from RE1 to the original RE2, so it's not like, yo, what a big jump in quality that is. But like, Blake, from what you've seen, what do you think of RE2 remake? Since it's the first time you're kind of viewing, I don't know how much you've seen before, but from beginning to end, you're like viewing it on the stream. What do you think about it?
I mean, it's a huge departure from its predecessors, obviously. I mean, in terms of the original, like Resident Evil 1 and the OG Resident Evil 2 and 3. Um, I don't really have a strong opinion on it, other than the fact that it's visually incredible. Like,
Dude, oh my god, it's one of the
yeah,
most beautiful engines ever.
yeah, the RE engine
Yes.
that only that I want to note only the Resident Evil guys use. The Capcom guys do not use it, despite them making it. I don't know why. It's interesting.
Mm.
But I mean, maybe it just doesn't function well.
No, wait.
That's from what I understand. From
No,
what
no,
I understand,
no, you're right. No, you're right. No, but
Resident Evil 7 and 2 are the only games that run on that.
Devil May Cry 5.
DMC5 runs on the
Yep.
Resident RE engine. Really?
That's why it's one of the most beautiful, but also versatile engines ever. It works great for first-person horror. It works great for like a third-person over-the-shoulder kind of shooter. Yeah, that's horror too. But you know what I mean.
No way.
But it also
Really?
works for a freaking like beat 'em up character action game. No, the RE engine
No
is.
way.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my gosh, you're right. It runs on the RE engine. I did not know that. I thought that was only the Resident Evil guys that used it.
Nope. Well, I mean,
They use it the
you
most.
could argue it's like it stems from Resident Evil, so maybe, but
Well, actually, I think technically doesn't Devil May Cry isn't not technically, but like wasn't it first incarnated as a
no,
spin-off of
yeah, that's what I
Resident
mean.
Evil? So like
It
okay,
like
that-
it stems from Resident Evil, so you could kind of make that connection.
Wow, that's really cool. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so anyways, go ahead and continue about Resident Evil. Resident Evil 2. Sorry. You were talking about how beautiful it looks and how you like the engine.
No, that's just what I was saying. What was I saying? Oh, that it's freaking beautiful. The backgrounds and the people look fantastic because you scan what you put in the game, and so it looks incredible. But yeah, it works for Resident Evil 7, which is first person, Resident Evil 2 remake, which is third person horror, and then maybe even the biggest departure, a freaking crazy sword guy character action game.
Mm-hmm.
It looks just as beautiful.
Mm-hmm. No, I've noticed that like every time you knife like a zombie or something like that, you're actually literally knifing that specific part of their body.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if you aim for the arm, you're actually cutting their arm off. And it's things like that are really, really cool that I noticed that are like visually.
It looks so good.
Yeah, the lighting is amazing because of like the flashlight and effects and stuff like that. It's a really well made game. There's a lot of passion for that put into that game, which I think is really cool. So
Yeah, well, I'm sure like it was obviously in secret that they were doing RE2 remake, but when they were like hey, we need people to work on a new game, they're like, yo, we're working on Resident Evil 2 remake, like who wants to join the project? And everybody was like, me, please. Like,
yeah,
I want to join. Can I work on it, please?
yeah, which obviously shows that a lot of people love that game and a lot of people wanted to make it really, really good. So
and oh my god, it's fantastic. Like, I haven't played the original. Maybe will at some point in my life. But gosh, like I never cared about Resident Evil before. But then even when I was getting to, I was like, it comes before DMC5. People are excited about it. I saw like a gameplay thing with Claire. I thought this looks pretty interesting. Looks cool. And wow, like my favorite survival horror game ever now. It is, everything about it is perfect. Like you said, like the way it looks, the engine is fantastic. The updates to like the RPD and like again, it's so well designed where like I got lost a few times, like my first time playing when I had to look for stuff, and I was like, there was one time when it was like an hour straight up. I was just looking for the thing I needed to get, but like after a while, you get so accustomed to the place, and like again, you know where the multiple ways to get to places, like what's the fastest and safest way. Okay, Mr. X is down this hallway. Let me go down this route instead. Um, I've heard a few things of how they updated the game, like Mr. X being the biggest one. Where in the original game, he just popped up like a few times, for maybe like a minute or two, and then you wouldn't see him again for hours on end. Where they made him this time more like Nemesis in RE3, where he just follows you constantly, and he's like another obstacle you have to take into account. Like, okay, well I have this, and this. I need to get this over here. Okay, well shoot. Okay, there's Slickers down this hallway, but there's also Mr. X following me. So how do I get here?
Yeah, so it's you're trying to figure out situation by situation. That's
Exactly.
really cool.
Yeah, and yeah, just like small things. I've heard how they updated it. It's just you can tell they really cared about the game, about how to make it updated and modern, but still like appeal to the people who played the original. Again, like certain things where they like, okay, people who we want to make it in a way where people who haven't played it like really like it and can come in, but people who had played the original and like RE2 is like argued to be one of the better ones, either RE2 or RE4. That's what you hear all the time, and people have replayed it constantly in their childhood and all that. And so, okay, well, how can we make this also a new experience for people who have done that, you know? And I think it does such a good job appealing to both of those things, where the biggest compliment I heard from someone who played the original was like, the feeling I get from playing RE2 Remake is the same feeling I got when I played RE2 when I was a kid. And
that's huge.
And that's huge, like, because the thing is, again, there are things like that you like of the game from like when you played it way back then, but there's things that you remember that may not be true. Again, like Mr. X, people always say, oh shoot, like Mr. X would follow you all the time, but in reality it was just like kind of smoke and mirrors, you know, like they presented it like that's what it was, but it wasn't really. But then they actually updated it so it was like that. And just things like that are so cool, where again, like you said, you can really feel the effort and the passion that people have for RE2 Remake.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's fantastic. I don't see any other RE game beating it for me in terms of my favorite one, because again, I'm playing it for the third time and I'm still really enjoying myself. And what I also like is how it makes it more grounded. You know, Resident Evil, where I don't mind it, but when RE0 and RE1 are like, okay, well, you've played against zombies. What if we add like giant snakes, and we add giant reptiles and giant bugs? I was like, I did not know Resident Evil did that. I thought it was just zombies. And I can see the idea behind it. Like, okay, well, zombies, you've gotten past the first like 3 hours, you know how to go around them and beat them. So we got to throw in these reptiles and all that.
Yeah, the enemies definitely have an insane amount of variety.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's cool. Like the bosses as well, and I don't know,
Giant spiders.
Giant spiders, giant plant leeches, human leeches, things, monkeys, evil monkeys.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some. I don't know. Right? Resident Evil has some insanely creative in enemy design, which I think is and they're all scary. Like they're all horrifying.
Yeah.
Like I was just watching your stream, and the hunters terrify me just because like they're literally like these.
Those
evil...
they were scary.
Yeah, well, just because they just are relentless, they refuse to let you go. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're really, God, they're really good.
Yeah, but what I like about this one is that they do attempt to make it more grounded and make it less goofy, like goofy, what people would consider goofy. But even by the end, zombies are still a threat, you know?
Yeah.
Like you have Huh? No, go on.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, and to be fair, I mean, Resident Evil does get a little goofy. I mean, you got Chris fucking punching boulders.
I was about to say punching boulders. Yeah, but they did a real attempt to make it more, you know, grounded, which makes it more scary. And again, they don't, except for like certain types in the sewers and later in the lab, it's mostly zombies you're fighting, and
Yeah.
they don't do like bloaters, like they usually see like in Dead Island and all that. It's just normal
Hmm.
zombies, and you get a liquor, and then in certain areas you get special enemies. But for I
Hmm.
would say what 70% of the game, it's normal zombies, and they're still threatening from the first hour up until like the 10th hour of the game. And I think that's really impressive.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I'm again like I think Resident Evil has a really good way of balancing enemy placement, enemy like types and variety. Even from what I've seen in Seven, like I know Seven is generally speaking you're fighting a lot of the same kind of psychos that
Hmm.
just don't die. Like no matter what you do to them, they won't die. But I mean the placement of them and the kind of terror of them being able to find you is kind of really scary. I mean, obviously Resident Evil around the middle between 7 and I want to say like 4 and 5 starts to take more of an like a not FPS TPS route where it's like more focus on action, more
Hmm.
focus on
Yeah.
being emphasis on guns and stuff like that as opposed to, you know, like the horror managing your stuff, kind of thing. So my question I think I have is like I wonder how far they're gonna go with these remakes because I mean I wonder if they're gonna try to remake all of them or just like the excuse me just the original like PlayStation ones like
Yeah.
so like I mean obviously there's a Resident Evil 3
Yeah, that's what I'd
remake
say. It's
in the works.
obviously the next step is 8, and then Resident Evil 3 remake. They're obviously
What do
gonna
you
do that. Wait,
I was
what?
gonna ask. I was gonna ask. Which do you think will come first?
I would say RE8. I think that's been in development longer.
That's what I think so too. I mean, obviously, people want Chris Redfield to come back and things like that.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I think seven alluded to, I believe, in the
Yeah.
end in one of the endings or something like that. So
Yeah.
that would be cool.
Yeah. It's speculation. What will happen with 8? Is it gonna do more of what 7 did? Or it will to some extent, obviously. But
Mm-hmm.
will it bring back the original characters? Or will it introduce a new character again and separate itself a bit more from the main canon and all that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but yeah, RE3 remake will be made. Do you think they would do RE1 remake? Like,
No, I think
I don't
that
think
Resident
either,
Evil.
but I'm trying to think after 3 remake, there's no way they can remake 4. There's like no way. If they can't remake 4, so they won't really touch 5 or 6 either, I would assume.
Well, that's what I think. Like, I think that they're just gonna stop at 3 and be
Yeah.
like, four's good enough. We don't really need to do anything with 4. Like I think 3 will be the end of remakes, and then they'll just kind of fuel it into like Resident Evil, 9 or 10, however far they want to go.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. I don't think they're gonna challenge 4 because a lot of
No,
people
there's no
really
way.
really love 4.
There's no
So
way they'll touch it.
yeah.
Like 1, okay, wait, hear me out. Like 1, I think it's like a 70 to like 80% chance that they will not touch 1. But I can see them like, okay, well, we have 8, we have remake, we have 9. I can see them at some point, way down the road, going, I guess we'll do 1. Like, I don't really know where else to go right now, so we can try 1 again.
Hmm. And to be fair, I mean Resident Evil 1 already did get its remake in the GameCube version,
Yeah,
which what you played was just I believe a PS4 port of the
yeah,
GameCube version with but I think that runs at 60 if I'm not mistaken, right?
I think so. I
I
think
think it
so.
runs at 60 now. I
Yeah, I
don't
think
know,
so.
but I mean that game's awesome, obviously,
That,
and
that
I
that's
don't.
if that's why if they hadn't done it before, I'd be like, 100% they're gonna do it.
Yeah,
But
I
because
don't.
they've done it, I'm like, maybe. Like I don't. I,
Yeah,
I still don't think so. I think it's more likely that they won't.
yeah,
But I can see them maybe thinking, well, why not? Let's try it. Like I'm saying, like 10 years from now.
yeah. I mean, I maybe at a far later juncture, I think they will. I just don't think now we're
Yeah,
gonna.
no, there's no way. Like,
So
no, I think it's gonna be like we said, 8 or the remake. 9, then like 10 or whatever spin-offs they do. But then like again, like 10 years from now or whatever, they could go, let's try 1 again. Like they'll do like an anniversary thing and then go, okay, let's do 1. and with all the things we've updated and all that.
Yeah. Um, I think one of the things that I find interesting about the series so far is that 7 is very similar to some degree about to 1 in the sensation that I don't think people have ever really felt the like that way since 1. You know what I mean? Because like
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot like obviously the franchise is called Resident Evil, but later that would stop meaning anything because eventually the games would stop taking place in residences. They would start taking place in like cities and volcanoes or something like that. Like I don't know what the heck's going on, but like they would start taking place in different locations that have more like places to go and stuff like that. And so I mean, like I think 7 is interesting because 7, it's almost like they had their Nintendo thing where it's all like, oh, we're gonna look back at our first game and see what people liked about our first game, and apply those kind of feelings and emotions and ideas into our design elements for the newest game, which I think is really cool because like I mean I've seen some people get genuinely freaked out with 7, genuinely scared when it comes to the VR stuff. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So that's
Well,
I think that's cool. So
I think it's also because I don't like it is part of that, but it's also like everybody who works on Resident Evil, every director has a different idea of what Resident Evil is,
yeah, yeah,
Like Shinji Mikami, ever since the second game, he was like, I want to make this an action series.
yeah. But well, from what I understand, he does not like horror.
No.
He's that's why
Yeah.
the other creator, the other co-creator said like I want him because
Yeah.
he's not he gets scared really easily, and I think he would know what scares people. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, because
yeah,
then after 3, Mikami was like, okay, enough with this horror garbage. Let's make an action game, people. We're
yeah,
making RE4. And it's like,
yeah,
oh, okay, okay, sure. But yeah, like everybody who works on Resident Evil has like a different idea of what the
yeah,
franchise is or is supposed to be, which is
yeah,
why we've gotten, like Resident Evil Outbreak, why we've gotten Operation Raccoon City, why we've gotten the Revelation games
mm-hmm.
and all that. So it is that they're like, okay, well, let's go back to horror. But I think it was also that the right person whoever was in charge of 7 was like, okay, I want to make a horror game now.
Yeah,
We're going back to horror, and we'll see
yeah,
how that works.
yeah.
Especially I'm sure after 6, they were like, okay, who wants to work on 7? Who's the new guy that wants to work on 7?
Yeah. So I mean, hey, I think that's cool though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you can completely like rebrand a franchise to make it fresh and new, and which like they didn't really completely rebrand, but they kind of went back to its roots without feeling repetitive. I think that's cool. Like that's impressive
And
to
then
me.
they did again with the R2 remake, which is super impressive.
Yeah. Well, they went back to their roots and then they kind of redefined what they wanted to make out of that game because that game is still survival horror, but I think it's less about the puzzle solving sequences more and less
Yeah.
and more about like the kind of just
Yeah,
engrossing yourself in the environment.
we were talking about
Yeah.
RE2, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. No. Yeah. It's less about the puzzles. There is there, but it's more on the survival aspect of it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean I think that like comparing RE1 to RE2 remake, which I think is a good solid comparison because the originals are similar games.
Yeah.
But it's like I think Resident Evil 1 is like the perfect remake because it doesn't change its gameplay because it's like well this is where the game started so let's keep that. But RE2 remake I think is a good place to like kind of redevelop the entire formula and make it more cinematic, make it more environmentally um, atmospheric, to make it more focused on those elements as opposed to the sequencing we talked about in Resident Evil 1. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because like I think Resident Evil 1 is like we said more about sequence, and Resident Evil 2 is more about situation things like Mr. X is chasing me, but I got a room full of zombies and I got 5 shots left. How am I going to approach this situation? You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
As opposed to you don't really get those situations in Resident Evil 1. In Resident Evil 1 it's more like I got to go to this room to get that diamond, and then I got to take this diamond all the way back to the knight's room so I can put that diamond in there and then solve that. Things like that. It's more about sequencing in the puzzles. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't think. Well, like I'm not disagreeing with you. I agree with you, but it's like you really couldn't do RE2 remake like just like RE1 remake. You know,
No, I don't think so.
it's
I don't think so.
like
Oh no, as in I agree with you. As in
no,
I agree
yeah,
with you.
no, yeah,
Sorry.
no, yeah. Like
Yeah.
obviously, like what the original RE1 was versus like remake, like obviously huge jump. Like versus what games were back then to when RE1 remake was done. They're like, okay, we just need to make RE1 again, but more pretty and make it a bit more modern. With the controls. RE2 was already kind of like that. When you look at it, it's less pretty, but it still functions. Like it has to take controls and all that, but it's still all the updates that they have RE2.
Yeah.
That's why people love that game so much because it was such a big step, or such a big, yeah, I guess such a big step in quality from RE1, the original, to RE2. So if you really couldn't do it, which I think is interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I don't think you really could have taken the kind of basic structure of Resident Evil 1, like the remake, Resident Evil 1 remake, and applied it to the Resident Evil 2 stuff, because I just think that, like, especially with the incarnation of 7 and the way that game plays and feels and looks, like, I think going back to a traditional Resident Evil, with fixed camera, funky controls, and like, that style, like, I don't think people would respond as well to it as they would have for Resident Evil 2 remake, which I think people respond to monumentally well. So that's at least what I think. I think going back would just be feeling archaic and more alienating to new players.
Plus, I think the feeling of, again, if RE2 remake was like the original but prettier, just they'd be like, so why was this made exactly? Like,
yeah.
Like RE2 plays really well still. It doesn't really need just a prettier version of it, So
Yeah.
I think that kind of mindset would have been, people would obviously been, oh cool, like it's RE2 but prettier, but I think a fair amount of people would have said, okay. I don't know why you did this.
And I think what you just brought up justifies why Resident Evil the first remake was made, because like that people wanted a game that felt very Resident Evil, but just looked with the modern day.
Yeah.
And I think that justifies Resident Evil 1's remake more, or as much as it does, like why that game was made. As opposed to, I don't think people would respond, like you said, I don't think people would have responded well to Resident Evil 2 having that same style, because people would be like, oh, it's just an HD version of it,
Yeah.
So.
Because from what I've seen, they RE1 remake and RE2 look, obviously graphics are different, but in terms of like how they play, it look pretty, not similar, but they work as well, I would say. I don't know how I'm trying to say it, but
No, they're both kind of they both fulfill their.
Yeah, I guess they both hold up still, I would say.
Yeah, because Resident Evil 1 remake still looks really good.
Yeah, it does. I was really surprised.
So I mean, not as good as Resident Evil 2 remake, because Resident Evil 2 remake's making on a completely new engine that's amazing, and so like things like that. But like RE1 remake still looks dang impressive.
It really does. I was like, wow, these environments look great. Like, especially when it gets to, like the forest and the not the main mansion, but like the other part of it. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, all that forest area looked fantastic. But yeah. So I mean, no, go on. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna.
No, I was trying to think of what to say.
I was just gonna say the Resident Evil franchise is a very very unique franchise. I'm excited. I mean, I'm interested to see how far it can go. I mean, I'm kind of like you, or I was like you, where like I don't really care about Resident Evil, because like again, I'm not really a survival horror guy, but I've always had a fascination with the franchise because of how kind of diverse it can be and things like that, as opposed to I don't know, some of other any other survival horror, like Last of Us. I'm more interested to see where Resident Evil goes to see where The Last of Us goes, I guess, because Last of Us I kind of feel like is Last of Us.
Yeah, especially because I think you just hit that pretty well, where Resident Evil has been so many things over the years, and now they're at a point where, again, RV7 was a great return to the horror, and it was also different because of the first person. But then, so you're like, okay, well, they're going that route, obviously. But an RE2 remake comes down, and you go, oh, okay, well, they have two routes to go. But then you're thinking, okay, well, what happens after that? Like, do they again? Do after RE3 remake, after RE9, or no, after RE8, where do they go? Do they bring it back to action? How and then how can the story go on from where it is now because it's developed so long?
Yeah.
Are they gonna just reboot it? Like, who knows? Like,
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. I think that we'll have to see because it's going to be an interesting road going down after 7 in terms of canonically. So
yeah, because
yeah,
just like to kind of end it a little bit.
yeah,
Like Devil May Cry 5 that came out after so many years, and it's it made itself kind of like the best version of Devil May Cry, and so
mm-hmm.
when that game ended, I thought, okay, I can see where it's going if they make a 6,
Yeah,
and I guess like 6, 7, they'll just do more and add to it. And even like the story, I could kind of see where they're gonna go. This I have no idea. Resident Evil, no idea.
yeah,
That's why it's so interesting.
yeah. Obviously, Resident Evil. I mean, Devil May Cry 5 sets up for more,
Mm-hmm.
but with like a new perspective. Not like perspective camera, like
No, yeah,
different character, things
yeah.
like that. I mean, but I mean, I'm interested to see where that goes too, because like Dante and Virgil have to come back because they're fan favorites. To some degree, they'll come back, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm with you. I think Resident Evil is an interesting franchise because of how they've managed to keep a long running story alive, even though like it has so many different characters and parts. Like you have the whole freaking like you have the weird stuff like Wesker, and then you have like spin-off stuff like Resident Evil 7, even though that still ties into everything. So it's pretty cool, I think, So I'm curious about it.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna keep going through the Resident Evil franchise, and then we'll speculate where it could go after. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
still excited to keep going. We're only like not even halfway through with the Resident Evil games, which I'm excited about. But yeah, if you guys wanna watch some Resident Evil, go on to twitch.tv/JPZone97.
Link in the description, baby.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, were you watching anything? Because I remember you said you were like, "Here's what I've been playing." And
Yeah,
then...
you're right. Yeah, so talked a lot about Resident Evil. That's what I've been playing. But for what I've been watching, let's see another item off of the backlog. Let's see. Just something not too long. Invader Zim, Enter the Fortress.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Did you watch it?
I did. I watched it. I actually watched it when it first came out because I was interested in it.
Okay, no, you never. No, you just never mentioned off the podcast that you watched it.
I did not.
What did you
I don't
think?
know why I didn't. I just completely forgot to
I
mention
know, man.
it.
What the heck? What the heck, man? What you think?
What did I think? I love it. I thought it was. I forgot how funny Invader Zim's.
Did you watch? I was about to ask. Did you watch a lot of Invader Zim growing up?
I didn't watch it like insane copious amounts, but I watched a lot of Invader Zim. It wasn't one of my favorite shows because like sometimes like the episodes would get really really like freaky.
It would, yeah.
Like I remember I remember I remember a few episodes off the top of my head where I remember Dib and Gaz getting lost in a parking lot, or like Dib gets lost in a parking lot.
Oh, that was so good. That was such a good episode.
I remember that episode. I remember where they're slowly. I remember Zim and Dib are slowly turning into sausages.
I was literally about
to
say that, and they're turning into meat.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, I'll never forget this one where like Zim starts stealing organs.
Oh,
from people.
That was the darkest one.
Yeah,
Jesus.
that was the darkest one. I can't. Well, number one, it's crazy because number one, at the end, they let him get away with it.
Yep.
Like, so I mean, that was messed up. I remember a lot of. I remember the first episode a lot. I thought that was funny. I always appreciated the comedy of it though, like how loud Zim was and how like overpowering he can be, and just almost obnoxious, but like just so endearingly like overconfident, Mm-hmm. So, but what did you think? Like, did you watch a lot of Invader Zim? Or?
Oh yeah, I watched a lot of Invader Zim growing up. It's hard to say what was one of my favorite shows or not because I loved so many growing up. But yeah, I loved it. I always watched it when it was on Nicktoons.
Yeah, I watched Nicktoons too.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. I loved it, but there were some episodes like the Orkin one and the sausage one. I was like, oh, like okay. But for the most part, I thought it was really really funny. I loved it.
Yeah.
But I loved Enter the Fortress. Like
yes,
the animation was so good. Just first off,
Mm-hmm.
oh my,
I
no, go on, no.
I was gonna say a lot of people have actually been complaining about it because it looks so different
Yeah,
from its original counterpart
I was about to say.
with its focus on the original had a lot of focus on like bold outlines, kind of dirty color palette.
Yeah,
Like I don't think Zim's green changed, but like the environments around them definitely did. There was a huge emphasis on like dark, shadowy shades.
yeah. So, what do you think about the new art style? Like, do you mind it or like?
I'll be straight up and say I like it a lot better because like I like how the colors pop more. Like
Mm-hmm.
Zim's green and his purple or his like pinkish purple like really mesh together well, and I think that the pink has a weird way of popping way more, like when he's seeing his eyes and on his suit and stuff like that. I don't know what it is. Like the environments just look nicer. They look more vibrant. Like there's more to them in my from my perspective. So
Yeah. I can't say which one I like better, but I love the new art style. Yeah, it's a lot more, especially when it get like you get near the end, and it gets like really big, and it's able to get bigger and more expressive, like with the
yeah.
action especially, because yeah, it's less. I don't know. I forget what the word. I don't know what the word I'm going for is, but yeah, it allows for that, with the colors and everything. So I was like, whoa, like this, because it kind of looks similar, but also kind of doesn't.
Yeah. It's still Invader Zim. It's
Yeah.
just a little more.
So I was like,
refined.
whoa, like
Yeah.
okay, I had to get used to it within like the first few minutes. But yeah, I loved the way it looked, and it was so funny too. Like
Yeah, I was laughing so
I
hard at some
agree.
of these moments. Like I was genuinely like I don't like I remember putting it up and be like I hope I laugh at this because like I remember loving Invader Zim, but like like maybe they changed it. But like I was dying at some parts. Like I remember like Netflix has the 15-second rewind or the 10-second rewind thing.
Yeah. Oh,
And there were
dude.
moments where like I just kept
Yes.
having to go back because I'm like that's so freaking funny. Like oh my gosh, that's great. Like
Yeah.
even the beginning was funny. Where where Dib first meets Zim again, and it's like just that whole sequence is probably like my favorite sequence in that film
Yeah,
because
I
it's
know that was
so
another
funny.
thing people were complaining about. Like, oh, it's not like as Invader Zim was, because yeah, like we just said, it was really funny, but there were points where it would go, I would say, just a bit too much. This never does that. It never goes too much, but I like that. Like it's still Invader Zim, the comedy, but it's not as guess I would say edgy. It never reached that part where it gets too edgy,
Yeah,
but it's not like really dumbed down. Like I was still like, this reminds me of Invader Zim. I haven't seen it in like 10 years, but this reminds me of it so much. And
like, and
oh,
I think
go on.
for us like back in the day, those cartoons, those like early mid 2000s cartoons were a lot more focused on being edgy because that's what made you stick out so much. And I think there was a point where those cartoons got too like not too edgy, but like they just stopped like they became kind of jokes among us where it was like okay really like that's not funny anymore like you know what I mean so like I appreciate this new where it's still Invader Zim. He's still got like all the characters are exactly how I imagined them, if not better than how like
Yep.
I thought. I mean so I mean I can't really think of anything that I don't like about it. I guess the only thing is maybe like how it ended maybe, but other than that I really really liked this. I mean
Yeah,
shoot.
there are many like revivals when they come back. I'm like,
Yeah.
like this is either like it's not that great, shouldn't come back, or it's like it's good, but it's not the hype bringing it back. It doesn't get the same feeling. This was, from what I can remember, the first time I thought, yo, like this is Invader Zim. This is what I wanted, and it gave me
Yeah.
everything I like again needed and wanted and more.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned it on Twitter when it came out, but just what it does with the characters is way more than the original show ever did.
I
Like
was just oh sorry go ahead. Go
no,
finish.
no, I think we're gonna say the same thing. Like Dib and his development, where it was always like a running gag where his dad never believes him, but that was never like a character arc that he went through. But with this, it's like Dad, like this entire time you don't believe me. I just want you to believe me. And I want you to
Mm-hmm.
be proud of me. And when you get those moments, like when his dad tells him, "Yo, I've always been proud of you," and then
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning he says, "I just want you on my side once," and then we get that.
Yeah.
That's way more character development than we ever got in the original show.
Yeah.
And Gaz too.
Mm-hmm.
Like she messes with Dib and all that, and that's super funny. But then it's small, but she has the little moment where she goes, like, "You're my brother. Like I mess with you. That's just I know you can take it. Like I still love you, you idiot."
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. And
And
like,
it's the most they've ever like worked together. They've
mm-hmm.
had their moments when they do, but this entire time, they're less antagonistic towards each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's still their characters, but they're like, okay, well, let's work together on this one. It's not just you do your thing, I do my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, all those moments at that, this gave me Invader Zim and more.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I have to say, I am genuinely. I need to know who wrote the story, like the story
Mm-hmm.
for this, because this was very well written. It's more well written than some like AAA budget
Yep.
movies. Like,
I
I
never
was
got the
shocked, like,
feels in the original, but I got the feels in this one.
because that was never really what the show was about. Like
Yeah.
the show was honestly, from what I recall, more of a kind of a slap in the face to those shows with like morals and
Yeah.
because like yeah, a lot of shows had that, even though they were kind of edgy. Like SpongeBob had morals at the end of it, to some degree back in the day, and life lessons and things like that. But Invader Zim was kind of just like chaos and things like that, which fit the show's themes and characters. But this was brilliant because it had that chaotic spirit, that kind of slap in the face to morality, kind of, don't, whatever. But
Really
it
quick,
also,
would you say it was like Invader Zim, but with like more structure to it?
I would say, yeah, I would say it's like Invader Zim with more of like a reason to exist. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Like this
yeah.
wasn't just a Netflix special where it's like, hey, guess what's coming back? Like for
Invader
example,
Zim with the purpose.
yeah, like for example, one of the ones I'm hearing about is like the live action Avatar, The Last Airbender remake for Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I'm looking at this and I'm like, why does this exist? Does putting it in a live action context
Yes.
with no. does putting it in a live action context do anything for it? A, and number two, is there a reason for this to come back? Is there like some sort of story that we didn't finish? Is there, what are we gonna go Game of Thrones where like the benders just kill people now? Like, are we gonna get some crazy nudity? Like what? Like, why is this coming back? And it's like I look at Invader Zim Enter the Florpus. I'm like, okay, I watched this and I'm like, okay, yeah, I totally see why this came back, because it's like this show wanted to kind of have like that kind of story. Like it wanted to tell a story that I think, to some degree, only Invader Zim could really tell, with like that sort of like that level of hilarity, like that level of comedy. Like if this was any other movie, I feel like I'd be like, I like it, it's funny, but like I wouldn't understand the context for it. But like I feel like this movie just got it. Like it balanced its Invader Zim comedic tone and chaoticness with like that beautiful structure of a good story. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah, I watched it again the very next day.
I've watched it like 5 times now.
Oh, I know.
It's
so
really good. Yeah.
It's so good.
It's real. Like, I mean, I don't know. One of my favorite jokes is
I was
the
about to
shark
say,
joke.
what is your, or one of your favorite jokes?
One of my favorites is probably, obviously not scientifically possible, which I've been seeing being made into a meme now.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I do.
Where he just freaking like, where Professor Membrane just like busts through a wave of people and he just shouts at that. I rewinded that like 8 times. That was so funny, and I was like, I cannot believe they came up with that joke. That is one of the funniest things ever. I think my one of my favorites though also is the shark joke, where he's all like, back when I was young, I thought sharks were my friends, and then he cuts
I know
to
better now.
I know better now.
Oh,
like that was
I
hilarious.
rewind that so many times. That was so good.
Yo, why was Professor Membrane so funny in this film?
So
like he was
good.
perfect. Like I don't get. I
Like
thought
remember
that was
when
great.
they find him and it zooms to all the aliens that are just like on the
Yeah.
other side. It's like, haha,
Yeah.
hello.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love how he's. I love how they gave him like a Kamehameha moment. That was freaking
Yes.
funny. Like, oh my gosh,
It
that
was so
was.
good.
I don't know.
I loved the leprechaun cat when
Yes,
Gib is
Leprechaun Kitty.
chasing him.
Yeah.
Leprechaun cat, no! I rewinded that so many times.
Oh
And
my gosh.
another one was the you mentioned it when Zim and Dib like meet each other again, and Zim is ruining ruining quote unquote the neighborhood,
Yeah.
and then he goes to the mailbox like, no, well, nobody like reads the newspaper anymore, but
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. I'm switching people's mail around. That's illegal. No. I like that part, and he's like, "I'm
Yeah.
reading someone else's newspaper. I don't pay for a subscription."
One
I
of
thought
my
that was funny.
the pizza sticker.
Oh my
No,
god, the
don't
pizza
no,
sticker.
don't do that. No, what are you doing? What are you doing? Don't do that. But I would say
That was so funny.
maybe
I
my
love that.
favorite. I don't know. Was the ham. I loved the ham.
Oh my gosh, the ham. I thought that was
You gotta
brilliant. Like,
remember this ham. It's gonna
yeah.
come up later.
And had they not done that, narration thing, it would not have been as funny.
No,
They
not
had,
at
but
all.
they did it, and I thought
Yes.
that was
Like,
genius.
do you?
I was like,
like,
oh my
Dad,
god,
you
dude.
got the ham I gave you? And I was like, oh wait, oh my god, the ham. And it was, I got the ham, and then there's that his head, just no emphasis, just boop.
I even love their fake dad.
Yes, I love
thought-
fake dad. A
Why
thing
don't
I
you guys
thought was
play with the science puppy I made you?
a
Because
thing I
it's
thought was
pudding.
annoying at first, but it paid off. It made it pay off.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of silly too, but like then they actually got it to they made him really really funny.
Is
So
it- Is it good pudding? It's the worst pudding in my life.
I was just about to say that. Oh my gosh, dude. I thought that was really
It's
really
the
great.
best pudding I've ever had.
That was so random but so funny.
It was
like
so good.
I mean, honestly, Enter the Florpus was I think honestly genius for
Yeah, it was,
a
I thought it was,
Nicktoon to come
I
back.
thought it was perfect.
And my hope is that like Nickelodeon can kind of see this and maybe bring back some of the more like the long dormant ones that never really got a movie like this or never really got a big shot like this. I mean, Hey Arnold came back and got a movie which they aired and never told anybody they did. I didn't even know that happened. I wanted to watch it, but
I heard it was okay.
yeah, I mean, I feel like it was really good for people who really liked Hey Arnold, which
What? Well, I saw like some of it, and I really liked Hey Arnold, and I was like, I don't know.
Okay, maybe not. I don't know. I heard that people liked it, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my sources are a bunch of liars. But I mean, I guess if I can hope for anyone's to come back, I wouldn't mind seeing My Life as a Teenage Robot come back.
Oh my god, that would make such a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff you can do, just because of like number one, that show has some gorgeous art design because it's so it's like a weird retro, yet classic, like it has an interesting blend of like the characters look like they're from like the early 50s kind of like old animation, like old Walt Disney cartoons and things like that. But they also have like this unique modern style and coloring, and I just love that style. I want that show to come back in some form.
Yeah, that'd be
It
cool.
would be cool. Yeah.
I'd be down for that.
I'd be down for that. I mean, maybe I don't know if I mentioned it, but like Danny Phantom, I wouldn't mind coming back to have like just a finale, like a good finale. Because
I was about to say, like,
Phantom
I'd be
Planet
down,
kinda-
except we got our finale and it was not good.
but Phantom Planet was
was
bad.
so
I think
bad,
everybody
so
knows
bad.
that, yeah. Phantom
Well,
Planet
all
was-
of that last season was bad.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was. But like, I mean, that's what I mean though. Like, if they could come back and maybe do it right, I'd be down for it. But
It should have ended at, was it, I forget what the movie was called.
the
you know,
greatest enemy, right?
Is
Where
it
he
Ult-
fights him,
is-
he
yeah.
ultimate enemy.
Yeah, I think it's Ultimate.
fights himself,
I
yeah.
know that's what the game was called. I forgot if that was what the movie was called.
Yeah, that's what.
That's where it should have ended. It was so good.
Even though we got Planet Sheen, I wouldn't mind Jimmy.
No.
But I don't think so because like of the
Sorry for my I got my not blind hate, but when you said Planet Sheen, I just like lost all sense.
Oh
of,
no.
I
Planet
thought you
Sheen's-
meant Planet Sheen like movie. I was
Oh,
like,
heck no,
no,
no.
what are you talking about?
Planet Sheen. I'm gonna say this right now. Planet Sheen is one of the worst cartoons
It's so
ever
bad.
made.
It's
And
so bad.
I am genuinely so shocked that was made by the people who made Jimmy Neutron.
It's so
because Jimmy
bad.
Neutron is really well structured. It's a smart
Yes.
show. It's got some great moments. I still remember some of the funniest moments in there. And it's like, I don't know who was asleep at the wheel and said this was a great idea. Like, let's replace, because it's like the anti Jimmy Neutron. It's like everybody on the show, not just like Jimmy Neutron had the benefit of, you had this kind of over, like, kind of cocky smart kid who was just a huge nerd surrounded by kind of, his two kind of moronic friends, both on different sides of like that kind of idiot spectrum. You got Carl, who's just like innocently weird, and you got Sheen, who's just like wacky, zany weird. And that's funny because that makes a great contrast, right? And then they take Sheen, the zany one, and put him on a planet with like everybody. Everybody's like a freaking, like, everybody's an idiot, and it's like, this show is too stupid. It's just
It's
way.
so bad.
Like I told you how I judge cartoons, right? Where it's like, if I have a headache by watching a certain amount of episodes, like, I'm done. Planet Sheen gives me a headache just after the theme song. I hate that show as much as I probably hate Annoying Orange. As the cartoon Annoying
No,
Orange.
yeah.
Those
Dark
shows
times,
are
dark times.
so bad. Bad.
That was a garbage show.
Yeah, I cannot
Both
believe
of
that was
them.
made by the same people. But I mean, honestly, I can't think of a ton of Nicktoons that need to come back. I can only think of like a handful. Like, I really want My Life as a Teenage Robot because I really
that'd be
like that
perfect.
show. It had a movie, but you got me as to where that thing went because I've never seen all of it. I mean, it was probably really good, but I don't remember it. But I would like to see that come back and maybe get something. Whether, Danny Phantom would be cool, but I don't think they're gonna do it right unless they.
No, they wouldn't. They really wouldn't. I don't
want to say this.
The fact that it ended and it was terrible.
I was just gonna say I think it could come back, but I'm gonna be honest here. I don't
know you're
think
gonna
any
say.
of the original people should come back.
I knew you were gonna say.
I think that it should be maybe like not rebooted, but like same voice actors, sure, but like I don't know if I don't want to say this, but I don't know if Butch Hartman still got it. I love the man
he
with
doesn't.
I love the man with a heart, but like I don't know. He just doesn't. He doesn't. I don't think he's got it anymore. Like, I don't think he really knows what's a good story now.
Blake, he made Tough Puppy.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest here. Tough Puppy had some funny moments, but it had nothing.
I was like,
below.
but like,
it was really a nothing show. It was
after,
a show that
after
like
one episode, I was okay. I get it.
It was. I mean, and it was, and it kind of sucks because like I really liked the concept. Like that concept is hilarious. Like, it's a bunch of like, it's like spies with pets. It's like, that's funny. That's cute. It's funny, but like. It just was like, I mean, and I didn't really like the main character himself. Like, what's his name? Dudley?
Yeah. He was annoying.
I love Jerry Trainer, but like, man, don't just make him shout the entire episode. Like, that's all he really did. They turned him into Patrick Warburton, where it's like, okay, we need you to shout just for like, I don't know, 15 minutes of this episode. It's like, okay, well, like, that's the thing is like, those characters can do so much. Those actors can do so much more, but it's like some of them reduce them to just yell, just say this line as a yelling person. It's like, okay. So I mean, but if the Danny Phantom does come back, I would like to see. I would like to see what they planned initially before the controversy happened before season 3, excuse me. Because I heard after The Ultimate Enemy, they wanted to take the show in a quote unquote darker direction. I have no idea what that means, because Danny Phantom was never really like dark.
No.
But I mean, if they can, ground up one of those stories, I wouldn't mind checking it out.
No,
but
I'm okay with Danny Phantom.
That's what I think.
Couldn't do it.
I don't think they're gonna do. I think even if they didn't get the original people, if they got like someone fresh and new, I don't think it's gonna come back.
Again, it's the fact that they got their ending and what they wanted, but it was still bad.
It was, yeah.
So that's why.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think that's it. I mean, I'm really just wanting My Life. I can't really think of any others. Let me look. Let me look and see real quick just before we close this up. Like, I mean, I'd be open to anything, honestly. Like, Cat Dog can come back, but it's not like one of my favorite shows. I'm not begging for it. You
was
know,
never a huge fan of Cat Dog.
I wasn't either. Let's see. As Told by Ginger ended, so you know.
Yeah, still. Rocket Power, no.
Yo, do you
All
hey? Do you
grown
remember,
up. I think
now that I have this open, do you remember a show called Zevo 3?
No, I don't think so.
Oh wow, okay. It was so. I think you're gonna laugh when you hear this. So get this. It is a team of 3 superheroes, right? And it all takes place in this city. Um,
Wait a minute.
Guess.
This no. It's based off the shoes.
Yes, yes, you got it. I was just about to tell you. It's based off of freaking Skechers shoes, and they're models
Yes.
of.
No, I
They're
remember
named after
This was barely a thing. I remember.
the freaking red guy who has a really cool design. His name's Z Strap.
I do remember this.
Z Strap. I forget what the girl was called. I know the blue kid was called Cool Breeze, which I was like,
Because he had the cool breeze shoes.
yes, he had the Cool Breeze. I was like, oh, I cannot believe that show was made. But oh my god.
Hey, we love those commercials so much.
Oh Lord. Let's see. I'm looking around. I don't think so. I honestly think a lot of these shows that kind of. I mean, there are some shows that I wouldn't mind seeing coming back because of how unique they were. You ever seen a show called Free Delivery?
No.
It's an interesting show. It's about these 3 kids who deliver Chinese food, but they fight like ancient Chinese evil at the same time, and they're like martial artists. It's pretty funny. I actually really enjoyed that show. It was interesting style. But do you ever hear of a show called Kappa Mikey?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I didn't know what anime was at the time, so
I feel like they didn't know either.
maybe they didn't. I don't know. But I remember that show. Yeah, no, My Life as a Teenage Robot needs to. I would love to see that come back. El Tigre.
No, like I liked
I don't
it,
think
but
so.
that one
Yeah.
ended. So
Yeah, it kind of ended on a really good note. I remember
Yeah,
the ending
like
where
that
they
was
all switched.
yeah, that was my
switched-
first thought, but
Yeah.
I had a perfect ending, so I wouldn't
Yeah,
want more.
Yeah, that's fine. That show can kind of stay where it is. None of the live action series. Don't you ever bring those back, please, for the love of God. Yeah, honestly, I think that My Life is probably the one I want the most, just because
I would
of-
agree.
Yeah, so I mean, I think honestly that's probably the only one. I don't really think I need another one. So
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, some of these other ones, I'm like, either they had a good ending, or I don't know what they would do with
yeah,
more.
there's nothing they can. Their story's kind of over. So My Life should come back. I would very much like that. But do you think, would you like to see more of these in, like, you know, from other different brands, like if Cartoon Network made a deal? I mean, Disney's not gonna, because if Disney's gonna do anything, it's gonna be on their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
But would you like to see more of these kinds of, you know, like, here's a movie to kind of wrap it up, sort of?
I would. I
Okay.
would. I think that'd be cool.
Were there any ones outside of the Nickelodeon ones that you would like to see come back?
Not that I can. Not on the top of my head, cause
Yeah, none off the top of my head either for Cartoon Network. Because, I mean, a lot of their... I mean, obviously we want, like... I mean, you and me, obviously we want, like, Motor City.
Oh
Want,
my
like,
God.
Tron Uprising. Like, those ones,
Yeah,
obviously.
no, those would.
But that's up to Disney. Because, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. But, I mean, obviously we want those. But, I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of any Cartoon Network shows that did not get a really good finale or some sort of conclusion. That like Samurai Jack got its ending and it was all right. Because I mean, Samurai Jack. I can't think of any Disney shows either, because Disney doesn't really do those kinds of shows. Kim Possible had a good ending, so I don't think that needs to come back. I mean, I heard the creators say, like, oh, well, you know, we wouldn't mind making like a reboot of like if they were in college, but I'm like, it's gonna be the same thing. They're just in
Yeah, it
college
would just
now.
be the same.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm okay. And then they made that live action movie, so I think that's where Disney's priority is right now. So honestly, I think I'm good. I think I just want My Life, you know, My Life as a Teenage Robot, not My Life. But,
Yeah, I agree.
so I mean, hey, here's hoping. I mean, I thought that was really really cool. Gravity Falls can stay gone for
Yep.
You know, because I mean that show was great. Fishhook's got its ending. A lot of the Disney shows get their endings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless you're canceled. But rest in peace, my friends. But like, so I don't know. I think that my life is kind of it. So.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's really it for this conversation. But
Yeah. It was a very good talk. Honestly, I think I had a lot of fun talking about all this stuff.
yeah, we had a lot to say this episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really all I got for this episode.
What a diverse podcast. Talking about Resident Evil, talking about the video game industry. Then we're talking about Enter the Florpus and how great
Talking
it is.
about cartoons.
Talking about cartoons. Look at this. Look at that. This is the kind of stuff you get at Just Nerds. So stay subscribed, baby. Stay subscribed. Stay subbed.
Yeah. So, is that it for you, Blake? Got anything else?
I believe that is it for me. Yeah, watch Jonathan's stream.
Yeah. So that was this episode of Just Hangouts. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, as Blake said, please. Let's see. By the time this episode comes out, I will be playing Resident Evil 4. So if you want to watch me play Resident Evil 4 for the first time, please join us at twitch.tv/jpzone97. I stream Monday through Wednesday, typically from 7 to 10. So yeah, it's been pretty fun so far, trying out the series for the first time. And yeah, so that's really it from me. Blake, you got anything? Any last things to say?
Hopefully, My Life as a Teenage Robot comes back. That'd be cool.
Amen. Yeah. So with that, that's all we got, and hopefully we'll see you guys in the next episode. See you guys.
Take care, everybody.